Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Thursday, April 18th, 2019. This is your award-winning Gimmo Nation Media Assassination episode 1130.
This is No Agenda.
Bidding adieu to the Cludio and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I'm pledging $60 billion for the restoration of the Notre Dame, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Ah, you, sir, are such a philanthropist.
Yes, I had to top them. There's a bunch of toppers going on, and it's become a news item, especially in Canada, where they mock the French.
Oh, really? I'm celebrating here.
What?
You're not celebrating?
Now it's Mueller time.
No, it's Mueller time, baby.
Oh, Mueller. Are you going to go to Mueller rather than a church?
Yeah, let's do Mueller.
Okay, yeah. Mueller. I don't have any Mueller. I mean, I read all the Mueller stuff today, and I said, "Oh, here we go, another round of Trump bashing," because they have an edge. There's a very slight crack in the mortar, so they're going to go after him.
What crack was there? I didn't. What cracks?
The crack is that when Mueller, he says in the report, apparently, he says that Trump said, "Oh, there's the end of my presidency. I'm toast," or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And so then he and he told people to fire Mueller and do all this stuff that he never did. He never did, but they figured that's good enough. I do have the one clip, I guess.
Well, okay.
Go play what you're doing. Go.
Well, no. What clip? Because what I did is I got the immediate responses right after Barr's this morning. Attorney General Barr did a press conference in which he kind of reiterated what he already said, I guess. And there were a couple of questions, and I was monitoring all morning. People all giddy, so giddy. Oh boy, we can't wait. So this was MSNBC. It's the only one really worth listening to because it's so. You'll hear it. And we have, who's the NBC liar guy? Who's that guy?
All of them.
No. No, Brian.
Williams.
Brian Williams, that's right. All of them. Brian Williams with Nicole Wallace, who is an attorney. I think, is she an attorney? I think
Nicole Wallace?
Yeah, I have a feeling she's... Well, most of those people are attorneys. Or unless she may not be. Anyway, you'll hear her first with her before she thought the mic was open. And then Brian, and then you'll hear what she has to say.
Wow.
That was extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
We are joined here by Nicole Wallace and Neil Katyal. I think a conservative reading of what we just witnessed is at the age of 68. Bill Barr has decided his legacy, he is fine with his legacy being the AG who took one for the team.
Well, I think it also explains why we haven't seen Sarah Sanders.
Right there. I'm already... He took one for the team.
In a while.
For the day already.
Wait.
What a skewed report. He took one for the team.
All right, I'll take it right away. Wait. Now, what was the one thing MSNBC was saying over and over and over again for the past 2 years?
The Trump campaign and Trump colluded with the Russians to
That's it. You don't have to say anymore. Just colluded with the Russians. All right.
Any collusion?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Any collusion? See, he is fine with his legacy being the AG who took one for the team.
Well, I think it also explains why we haven't seen Sarah Sanders in a while. The administration has a new face and a new messenger, and one with a lot more stature. He's the country's attorney general. The most extraordinary piece of that statement was twofold. One around collusion. I think he said half a dozen times, no collusion, no collusion. No lawyer, no legal presentation presents its conclusion 6 times. A political messenger, and I know a little bit about that, having been a political messenger all of my career, underscores the central message, particularly...
I mean, hold on a second. So she's saying a political messenger, which I've been all my career, is to keep.
Isn't she supposed to be a news person of some sort?
But what she's literally saying is only political operatives, not news people, not attorneys, only political operatives will repeat something incessantly. Oh, wow.
I think he said half a dozen times, no collusion, no collusion. No lawyer, no legal presentation presents its conclusion 6 times. A political messenger, and I know a little bit about that, having been a political messenger all of my career, underscores the central message, particularly if it's on shaky ground, multiple times. To use that room, to use that podium, to underscore Donald Trump's refrain on his Twitter feed for the last 2 years of no collusion was just an extraordinary thing to witness. The second was on obstruction. It's like as a parent, if you say, yeah, my kid vandalized the school, but he was frustrated by having a hard time in math. He came out and said, yes, Donald Trump may have been obstruction-y, but he was frustrated. From the minute he came into office, they were bugging him. They were bugging him about Mike Flynn lying. They were bugging him about all those contacts with Russians. He was frustrated. It was an extraordinary excuse around what is clearly going to be revealed when we finally see Robert Mueller's report. Again, it's also the 5th presentation from Bob Barr about a report we still haven't seen.
Yeah, okay. I just thought it was funny that she can sit there with a straight face and say, anyone who repeats something like that is clearly a political operative. Yes, Nicole Wallace, correct. I can't find my CNN clip, but it was exactly the same. Why did he keep repeating that? It's not even a thing. It's not even a thing, collusion. It's not even a thing.
Here's a snippet I took from the CBS report the day before, which I noted had an interesting skew because they just can't get away from it.
You'll see a lot of very strong things come out tomorrow.
The president's personal attorneys have prepared a counter report to emphasize there were no charges of collusion or obstruction against the president or anyone else. There are reports tonight the Justice Department and the White House have had numerous conversations about the report.
There was no collusion and there was no obstruction.
In a summary released last month, Attorney General William Barr said Special Counsel Robert Mueller did not find evidence the president's campaign coordinated with Moscow to influence the 2016 election. And Barr determined there was not enough evidence of obstruction of justice, angering Democrats. Tomorrow's report could shed light on President Trump's efforts to thwart the investigation, and a heavily redacted version could fuel a bitter partisan feud over the public's right to see the results of Mueller's work.
Yeah. So I think most of the news outlets have probably skimmed through most of the report by now, and I'm just not hearing anything.
Well, they're preparing it for the, 4-star, the late newspaper that comes, the last one they print.
Well, I look forward to reading it, although it's a bit busy. Tomorrow we're moving, and Saturday I'm rebuilding the studio. No, of course, it's what I do. This is part of what I do on the show. There might be some gems in there that are overlooked. Doubtful.
Well, I'm sure there's stuff that's going to be overlooked because the media is not going to, if there's anything even neutral, they're not even going to bother with it.
It's
they're just going to bitch about the redactions.
No. I think the now we're moving on to his conduct. His conduct.
Well, it's part of the Trump rotation, the conduct.
Yes, it's conduct. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We're back. It's his conduct.
It's not presidential. If he just stopped tweeting.
I got several messages this past week when Notre Dame was burning from the Netherlands and pointing to pieces in the press. Look at this idiot Trump suggesting dropping water from a water tanker plane. What a dick, what a moron. And meanwhile, it seems to be some actual consideration that they had. But that's the people's first response. Notre Dame was burning.
I saw that tweet and I said, well, they probably aren't prepared for it because the only reason we have those because we get these huge fires, so we have lots of these water tankers. Yeah. But there are these helicopters that carry this big giant bucket. And then I realized when looking at one of the pictures that the Seine River's right there. The helicopter could go down and grab a big bucket full of water and within just 5 seconds dump it onto the
and that Notre Dame. Yeah, that was also consideration.
So it's not a bad idea. So anyone who did that made those comments.
It was not stupid.
It was really a fool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just
it is a way of putting fires out. After all,
I'm reliably informed. Yes,
especially when that building was so big. Well, I do have. Did you catch this Pechenik piece?
Yeah, of course I did. I'm surprised you actually want to play clips from that. I of course I saw it. I'm like, okay.
Why would you think that? Let's go over this. Let's just analyze our own our decision making.
Okay.
By discussing
all right
the Pechenik thing, which is off the rails in terms of conspiracy. But that said, I'm reading today's National Post out of Canada, and there's a long article on the condemnation of what's going on, which was my mocking it at the beginning of the show. All these rich French guys, every billionaire in France is upping the ante and how much money they're going to contribute to fixing this place, which Macron says he can do in 5 years.
It'll take 5 years just for the committee to come to a decision, please.
Well, yeah,
you know that.
Expect 5 years.
Well, but we're analyzing our decision-making process.
Yeah, but so we're analyzing our decision-making process, and it was a quote in here that convinced me that it's probably not a bad idea to play the Pechenik piece because he claims that there was a false flag.
Well, let me explain to you why I didn't want to play it. I think I have some interesting clips that can lead us somewhere, and because what Pechenik does not say, I don't think, is why he thinks it was a false flag, and also the minute you come out and say this was a false flag, I think people stop listening. I think they stop listening, and either oh yeah,
on our show, yeah, I don't think so. We don't do false flag crap. Pechenik is entertaining.
Well, that's for sure.
He's very entertaining, and the false flag assertion in this regard, and it's in France, so nobody, okay, false flag in France, whatever. I don't think people. Oh no, they're going to play if anybody wanted to turn off this clip because Pechenik's going off the deep end on this false flag idea. I don't think they're a normal, no agenda listener.
All right. Well, I don't know. I think I can come to the same conclusion without, I didn't think.
I see. What you're going to do is do a false flag a roundabout way. Why don't we do? Okay. Well, I would suggest that we play Pechenik. I will make my comment on why I think it could have been based on Pechenik's thesis. Then I want to hear yours.
Okay. It may not be different, but I think I have a lot more data points than Pechenik.
From the very beginning, I said that Macron is
And we should probably say for people who are new, look up Steve Pechenik's Wikipedia page, and you'll see that he has an incredible list of credentials in specifically psychological warfare. So he would be the one to go to for stuff like this.
A spoiled, entitled child born to two doctors, and one is a neurologist, the other one's a general practitioner internist. That's quite an important profession in France. It's much tougher to be a physician in France than it is in the United States. I know my father was trained in France. But more importantly, this was a young man who avoided the draft consciously. Does this remind you of anybody else who did a false flag? Yeah, Bush. This comes from a wealthy family. He's spoiled. He avoided the draft. He's entitled. He's narcissistic. And guess what? He lies like a banshee. He's a sociopath. He was trained by the Rothschild family and became a multimillionaire without any profession or any companies that he started. So we have a president who I told you from the very beginning is inept. And what happened? Well, lo and behold, there were yellow vest riots all over because he didn't know how to manage the economy. And secondly, he increased taxes on fuels. Most people complain about it. Already they pay 56% of the taxes of their income to taxes. And by the way, his popularity was 24% before the fire. And guess what? It was 24% after the fire. So this is a man who created a fire. Why do I say he created a fire? Because number one, I had property right next to Notre Dame. Number two, I've been in Notre Dame and they're totally discombobulated when they're running a service. Their kids running in and out, and they're gypsies, and the police would not let me stop them. Thirdly, this was a propitious fire. Just before Easter Sunday, you had a Catholic church go on fire. This is an 800-year-old symbol of Christianity in a country which lost its Christianity during World War I, II, and its assassination, slaughter of the Hutus, the Tutsis. So we have here a country miscreants.
Okay.
I like the way he calls them a country of miscreants. I don't know what does the French have to do with the Rwanda situation?
Well, that was a French colony.
Not when this was happening.
I don't know what he's referring to.
He also makes
he's implying the French were behind the genocide is what he's implying. But I do not have any comment.
I mean, why?
I don't know. Just to be able to say they're.
He shouldn't be throwing this stuff in. He does this sort of thing. He brings in stuff like when he does his little arguments. He does. For example, he says Macron's approval rating was 24, and then after the fire, guess what?
It was 24.
24.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, I don't understand what he's doing. But okay, he doesn't like the French. It's fairly clear because it's a country of miscreants.
He grew up in France. He lived there for many years.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't like their.
Sure.
Apparently, he doesn't like the French. But let's continue and then hear him out, and then I have one quote I want to bring in from the National Post.
This is Dr. Pachinik, and let me get straight to the facts. The Notre Dame fire was a false.
What? This is the same clip.
What?
This is clip 2, and it starts with the same thing.
Flag. Most of you know by now what a false flag is.
Oh no.
What did I do?
A day before the fire.
Okay, maybe you. I don't know what you did, but let me see if I can find the second part.
He could not manage them, so you had riots.
Okay, it's got to be 158 in.
What does that mean?
Well, this clip is 232, so I don't know what I did wrong here.
Yeah. Let me see.
Hello? Create a false flag, and who is he? Country miscreants.
Oh, here we go. Okay, country of miscreants. You didn't edit it right. It's okay, no problem. Here we go.
And in turn, he could not manage them. So you had riots, you had anti-Muslim feelings, you had high anti-Semitism, and in short, you had an economy that wasn't functioning. What do? You create a false flag, just like Bush did. In order to go to war or unify a country, you create a false flag. In this case, lo and behold, a day before the fire occurred, and by the way, it took 23 minutes before the first responders came to the fire. And I've lived next to Notre Dame, and believe me, if you see smoke and fire, you respond very quickly. But remember, it took 23 minutes before the first responder. And then what was happening? A day before the fire, 12 of the major apostles that were in the church, as well as important window coverings and rose-colored glass windows, were taken away from the church by miracle. The New York Times called it a miracle by a company called SACRA, S-A-C-R-A, which is a division of a major company which you have no coordinates for, located in what we call the Dordogne. So the day before, you travel 6 to 8 hours with these statues that are the most valuable statues of the church, and somehow it's a miracle that they weren't ablaze. So, in fact, what we have here is a false flag created by what we call in French la piscine, the swimming pool, which is an affectionate name for the Deuxième Bureau, or the Second Bureau, or what we call the Intelligence Corps of France. So they worked alongside of Macron, and guess who else they worked alongside? They worked alongside my own colleagues in military intelligence and in the CIA. How do I know? Because I got an email unsolicited from one of my colleagues who said, my condolences on the fact that the church is burning, and I couldn't care less. Let me give you a famous quote. Maurice Talleyrand of Périgord, the famous foreign minister, said the following: to be the grand manipulator, you have to be very efficient in manipulation, denial, distortion, and creating of crises. The one person who wasn't was Macron. Good luck and good night.
Right. So the assertion, the way I understood it, is we're now into week, what is it now, 27? 28? Maybe 25.
Of the yellow vests?
Of the yellow vests.
I don't think it's that long, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, yeah. Yes. No. Definitely. Troll Room will let us know. It's in the 20s by now. 23. Next week will be 23. So that's how long this has been. That's quite okay. That is quite a long time, and he's losing grip on the country. And the idea is create a 9/11 type event where, in this case, as far as we know, no one died, but shock to the system.
Yeah.
The only problem and let's just take this assertion, I'll stay on this. The only problem is we've had a lot of vandalism in churches in France. Right up to a fire just a week ago, like another raging fire in a different church.
Yeah.
So
and there was a lot of these were tweeted. There's a lot of films of the Sound So
Peace. Tons of it. So
major churches in France have been burned.
So the problem that he had in this event, let's go on this track. I like this. So it's planned. It's a false flag. We got to do this. It's a globalist move. So we've got to get all our buddies in on it. You can't just do this in a vacuum, because we can't have the burning of the Notre Dame unify the country if it's blamed on Muslims. Which, by the way, the other church desecrations were not blamed on Muslims. There's very little written saying, "Oh, this has got to be Muslims doing this." Now, it's people who hate the church. France is pretty secular at this point. So there's not a lot of accusation, but that had to be quelled. And you may have seen the Shepard Smith interview, and there's a second one that I want to play. And now, having worked at an organization that was very similar to Fox News or MSNBC or CNN, in the regard that word comes from down high. It's either whenever you say Michael Jackson, you also have to follow that by saying the King of Pop, or don't say Material Girl when you're introducing Madonna. I mean, these kinds of things, these memos are out there. And you have to be. There's requirements, or otherwise, these people will not show up. Yeah, they won't come to the award show or whatever it is. And I'm hearing that Fox News, which again, we've said that it's certainly run by globalists. If it's Democrats, it's a different thing. Certainly run by globalists. We even have Paul Ryan now, going in there on the board of Fox. Things are changing. Donna Brazile is on Fox. So Shepard Smith, and this was odd to start with, gets an actual conspiracy theorist on the phone, Philippe Carcenti, who Shepard Smith identifies as an elected French official, which is not true. The guy actually was barred from running in any elections because he's such a crazy whack job. And look at his Wikipedia page. Conspiracy theorist, tried to run. He's never been elected, yet he's introduced as an elected official. The guy starts to go into his rap, and then Shep Smith takes over.
Philippe Carcenti is on the line with us, a French elected official who is in Paris now. Philippe, what have you seen and what do you know?
Well, I was.
By the way, I love how Shepard Smith thinks that you need to pronounce it like he's Mexican. Felipe. No, Philippe, okay? It's French. Felipe! No, he's not from Mexico, Shep.
What have you seen and what do you know?
Well, I was close to the scene when it happened, and no, I left the place because we want to let people work around it. Everybody's really under shock now in France. I would tell you something. It's even if nobody died. I mean, it's like a 9/11. It's a French 9/11, and it's a big shock. I mean, this church was there for more than 850 years. Even the Nazis didn't dare to destroy it. And you need to know that for the past years, we had churches desecrated each and every week in France, all over France. So, of course, you will hear the story about the political correctness, which will tell you that it's probably an accident.
Sir, we're not going to speculate here of the cause of something which we don't know. If you have observations or you know something, we would love to hear it.
No, I'm just telling you something. What we need to be ready.
No, sir, we're not doing that here. Not now. Okay. Not on my watch. Okay. Philippe Carcenti, it's very good of you to be here.
Now, a couple things. He's saying not here, not on my watch, because this came from on high. You will not connect Notre Dame to Muslims. And I think it was set up this way specifically with Shepard Smith, who's not in the loop on this. He's just been told what to do. Let's make sure the message gets out. Bring the conspiracy theorist on. He's famous in France for this. Tell Shepard Smith he's an elected official And then let's see Shep do his job of saying, no, not on my watch. Nope. This is Fox News. If there was a conspiracy, they'd be all over that shit. No. It carries on into later in the day. Neil Cavuto.
On the phone. Bill, we don't know what started this. We do.
This is Christian League President Bill Donahue.
You know the repercussions and what has been left as a result of this. Ruins that could take some time to fix and make right. And you never can make it as it was.
Well, Neil, if it is an accident, it's a monumental tragedy. But forgive me for being suspicious. Just last month, a 17th century church was set on fire in Paris. We've seen tabernacles knocked down. Crosses have been torn down. Statues have been smashed.
We don't know that. We don't know. So
for him to say we don't know that, he's already jumping ahead. Yes, we do. We do. We do know this. This has been in every mainstream report. This is not some conspiracy. So, but Cavuto's he's heard the message. He knows what to do. Because we can't connect it to anything. Very dangerous. Let's not have it connected to Muslims.
Statues have been smashed.
We don't know that. We don't know. So if we can avoid what your suspicions might be, I do want to look at what happens now. There was a very pricey rebuilding and renovation effort going on that involved a good deal of Catholic fundraising campaigns. I know in this country and abroad, this renovation was paid for up front. So in other words, all the monies were there. And now I'm wondering how much more the Catholic Church commits to this, or do you think now they first want to get to the bottom of it?
Well, first they have to get to the bottom of it, and they will rebuild it. There's no question about that. Certainly the Catholic Church will come up with the money for it. That's not even a question. But I'm sorry. I mean, when I find out that the Eucharist is being destroyed and excrement is being smeared on crosses,
wait a minute, Bill,
this is going on now.
Bill, I love you, dear, but we cannot make conjectures about this. So thank you very much.
Why can't he do that? This is Fox News. I've never heard them say this. We can't have any conjecture. Oh, no, we're Fox News. We don't do that. We don't traffic in conspiracy theories. Bullshit.
Wait a minute, Bill.
This is going on now.
Bill, I love you, dear, but we cannot make conjectures about this. So thank you very much. Bill, I'm sorry. Thank you very, very much.
I
do want to let people know.
Conjectures. This is great.
Sorry?
Just the concept that we cannot conjectures. He wasn't talking about conspiracies, which is implied, but he's not talking about conspiracies. He said we cannot make conjecture.
What is
Have you ever listened to Fox?
Precisely.
Bill, I love you, dear, but we cannot make conjectures about this. So thank you very much. Bill, I'm sorry. Thank you very, very much. I do want to let people know, and again, we're not trying to be rude to our guests here. There is so much we do not know about what happened here.
Listen to what he says here. Now he's just talking about the memo he got.
Thank you very, very much. I do want to let people know, and again, we're not trying to be rude to our guests here. There is so much we do not know about what happened here. We do know that about 4 hours ago, something started here. Now, there are incidents that have been raised against the Catholic Church. A lot of popular tourist sites, certainly in and around Paris, no stranger to attacks, but it is another leap to start taking views like that when we don't know.
It's just baffling to me. I watch Fox News for the conjecture. Are you kidding me? So that made no sense. And that kind of plays into what Pachenik is saying, as this was meant to create some form of unity, to stop everyone in their tracks. And I think it was very shocking. In an odd way, like Tina she said this is devastating. And we were just there 3 years ago. And I didn't have the same feeling, but I know a lot of people do. That's really, really, it hurts. It hurts for them to see this fire in a beautiful building. It is true that the Notre Dame rooster and other statues were taken from the spire, and the New York Times doesn't say. Indeed, they say it's a miracle. It's a miracle they took that just in time. I don't know if those indeed were the most valuable, but I have no reason to doubt it. Now, let's get into what happened and how did this start, and we still don't have all the facts of perhaps delayed response from the fire department, but there was I have a clip here from a presser. Yes, about the very late response of the fire department and something else.
We had a press conference from the fire brigade about an hour ago, and we got a little better timing, a little bit alarming, but it also explains what happened. Basically, the first fire truck from the Paris fire department didn't arrive to the scene for a half an hour. A couple of reasons for that. And the proper truck that could handle this kind of fire, a big, tall gantry truck, didn't get there for another hour. So imagine it. I think all of your viewers must have seen some of those videos. 90 minutes long, this fire was raging before the fire department here could really get a handle on it. A big explanation about how much damage there was. In the past day, two, we've been seeing more inspections of the structure. Thankfully, despite all the damage, the actual building is structurally sound. They think the water has seeped into the rock, the water has seeped into the remaining wood structure, and it's going to be several more days before they can decide whether it is stable or not. And if it is stable, then the inspectors go in, something like 50 of them, and they try to figure out exactly what caused this fire. We're hearing a new word that the renovation being done was the root of it. There might have been a short circuit involved with the workmen. I heard one comment from a neighbor of the Notre Dame saying that person heard a pop before the fire. Who knows? Who knows what's happening? And that's the investigation that's going on.
There was an interview on France 24 with the guy. He retired at the end of the 90s, but in the 90s he was in charge of all renovation. Complete new circuitry, and it's in French, so it's with subtitles, but it makes no use to play clip. It's in the show notes. He said, we put all new wiring in, all circuitry. We had a very specific security system that would alert fire department officials as to what section of the church a fire was in. We had two people 24 hours a day, always in the church to monitor these systems. Brand new system. He said short circuit is pretty much anything can happen, but he says that doesn't seem very likely. It was all new, or 15 years old. It doesn't have to be that bad. Secondly, he says he didn't understand how oak could catch fire so quickly. I don't know anything about wood, but he said you need a lot of kindling to get oak to really burn.
This is true. I burn a lot of wood for various reasons in both the fireplace, but also for barbecuing. Oak is a bitch to get going. It's not as bad as eucalyptus, but it's pretty hard to get going.
So I don't know anything about the colors that oak burns. But
well, we were about 2 blocks away when the smoke started to billow out. And at first we didn't know how serious it was going to be because it appeared to be kind of like a chimney smoke. And then it quickly began to intensify within about 20 minutes. So we were there just around closing time. The last tour was at 6:45, and we noticed the smoke coming out around 6:55. So about 20 minutes later, it really got stronger. It turned green, it turned orange, and then finally a dark black smoke. And it was very difficult to breathe initially. The eyes started to get a little bit stingy, and we couldn't. Our noses started to sedge a little bit, so we decided to kind of move to a little bit further away if we could.
So again, I don't know anything about wood. I don't know if it would burn green.
The orange, green is copper. The oak doesn't burn orange. I don't know what that is.
So
it just burns like wood, and it doesn't have any of these characteristics. It's just, in fact, oak is used for smoking, so it's got a pleasant smell.
Well, he said it didn't seem like very pleasant to this guy. So I don't know anything about wood. I don't know anything about fires. I do know about computer systems. And when I hear that there's a computer system in place, a system that is new, relatively new, is intended to alert the fire officials as to where something might be going on in the building. When I hear these kinds of reports, this is when I'm ready to say, okay, we have a problem. And oh, by the way, you're not covering the problem.
Savannah, good morning. France's prime minister a short time ago announcing an international architects competition to design the new spire that will sit atop the cathedral behind me. Meanwhile, this morning, a police source is telling NBC News that a computer glitch may have initially sent security officers to the wrong part of the cathedral when that fire first broke out, perhaps costing some precious minutes. Nonetheless, firefighters here are still being praised for their Herculean efforts to save Notre Dame.
Whenever someone says a computer glitch, it's so unacceptable to me.
Well, yeah, especially in this context.
In this context, it's an unacceptable explanation. And so that would be the place I would go looking first. What glitch? What happened?
I think that's just thrown in as bullcrap.
I don't think so. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Have people go to the wrong area, wrong place?
You've been in that church. If it's starting to burn, I think the knob would start to fill up with smoke. There'd be some. I mean, it took 23 minutes and an hour before the real trucks got there. The thing is, I don't see where the computers got anything to do with anything.
The alert system. Okay, look, I'm not going to argue with you because you don't know and I don't know. All I know is glitch is not acceptable for something that possibly sent firefighters to the wrong section of the church.
I think. And I'm saying I think because I don't know either. You're right.
Because we need the word cloud.
I think that this is just one of these things. It's always cool to put in a computer reference and say it was a glitch. I don't think there was a computer or a glitch. And I'm just basing it on the reporting, the way it's being thrown out there. This is just misreporting everything. I didn't read anywhere about this glitch.
Oh, yeah, it's all over the place. Everyone's talking about it. Glitch, literally glitch. Just look up Notre Dame glitch. It'll be Bing it. It'll be
Bing it. I'll Bing it. But
you Bing it. There'll be 100 stories.
Continue with you. We're see where it's going. Now I want to do a subtext thing on here because everything you're talking about. If we're dealing with globalists, the evil globalists, it all sounds like globalists.
Yes. Yeah. We have a global.
Yeah, we got the giveaway in the last one was we're going to do a competition for
global.
The new Spire.
Global.
But it's not just a competition.
It's a global one.
It's an international competition.
Yeah.
It's a global competition.
Yeah. Get everyone in on it. Yes. And meanwhile, don't look over here.
This whole thing is got globalist written all over it.
Wow, man.
I mean, keeping the Muslim thing out of the picture, which I didn't notice, but to have those clips from Fox are very revealing.
Yes.
So why do you want to keep? I mean, it's always great to have Muslim speculation. It's entertaining.
No, I think
the news media loves to get people all riled up, so they buy more papers and watch more, and they get more clicks on their websites. So to push that out of the picture, it had to be from on high, and we had to keep that out of there for some other reason.
Well, I would say
let the Muslims take. There was a riot in Denmark, I think. Let's look at that instead if we want to deal with Muslims.
Now, I think that it's such a tinderbox in France that if that message started to be propagated, that could create, all you need.
Make it worse.
Yeah, I don't think that's what they were going for. They were going for, hey, let's calm everybody down. Let's get everyone in line here. Stop burning Paris.
Well, it does take. Pachenik is right. It takes pressure off because of the yellow vests thing is massive. The people that are stepping up to the plate to donate, which has become an issue because the donors list is getting bigger and bigger. They apparently couldn't get a lot of money to maintain the Notre Dame, but now to rebuild that section.
Yes. Yeah, the globalists jump in. Let's do it.
But it's all globalists.
Yes.
And the main guy that everyone's bitching about is France's richest man.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what is his name? Bernard Arnault, who is the head of that LVMH.
Yes.
Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy. This is one of the largest corporations, global corporations.
Mm-hmm.
They have holdings everywhere. And this is all globalists stepping up to the plate, showing that the globalist billionaires can handle this. And if it wasn't for globalists and the billionaire globalist class, no one would want to fix this thing. Of course, there's getting to be backlash now because it looks like all these virtuous globalists are all virtue signaling that we can get more money than you. It's like one of those auctions that you talked about. a couple shows ago, or the Napa Valley wine auction where they're not buying wine. They're showing off that they can afford $5,000 for a bottle of $100 wine.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what's going on. This is the globalist problem.
Yep. Yeah, it's. Where's the Pope? Has he come out and said anything yet?
This has been brought up on all over the place.
Where's the Pope?
Where's the Pope's been read in and told to shut up.
Hey, Pope. Shut up, man. No.
Which is my guess.
Well, he's also a globalist. The Pope is a globalist.
He's a total globalist. He's from Argentina.
He's a Jesuit globalist. Totally.
So he doesn't know what to do, I guess. He's just beside himself. He doesn't know. He can't lie because he's the Pope. That's a good one.
Hey, are these are the donations to the church? They would be tax deductible.
Yes, I think so.
Another boondoggle.
Yeah, no, this is a benefit to some people, not to the poor people that want to go into Notre Dame and wander around. You've been in a million? I've been in a lot.
I've not been in a million times.
It's not for people who feel they're going to miss out. Go to Chartres, just outside of Paris, and there the church is better and bigger, and it's more interesting. But I went on. Did you ever get to go up under the roof of the Notre Dame? I managed to do that.
No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, I did. It's a pain in the ass, and I want to express the experience so people know what they're missing. First of all, there's a stairway that goes up to the roof that is about 2 feet wide to get into it, and the steps are huge. They're like 2 feet up each one, and people are coming up and down the same cramped, horrible stone stairway, which goes up about 4 stories, up and down at the same time. It's claustrophobic. When you get out, you're relieved. So you get out and you go, and there's an area you can wander on and sit on the roof, and people are doing this. There's usually about 25 people on the roof sitting there. So you've gone through this horrible trial to get up to the top, and then you go on the roof and you sit there and you look out and you think to yourself, okay, now what?
You got to go down.
And you realize that you're on the roof. You can stay there as long as you want, but it's like there's nothing to do. You're just sitting on the roof like an idiot.
It's like the Eiffel. It's kind of like the Eiffel Tower. So you go up, take your picture, like.
The Eiffel Tower. Yeah, once you get past the elevators, you have to walk.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you get up. Oh, I say, okay, shit, okay. And then but when you're coming down, it's actually easier because you have to take these big steps. You don't have to. It's, for some reason, it's harder. I guess it would be always harder to walk upstairs than down. But when you're coming down, you know the routine, and you butt into people and you stick your butt in their faces. You're going down. It's horrible. I do not recommend the roof to anybody after doing it.
Well, it's not necessary. This advice.
Yes, now it's lost.
Very unnecessary advice.
Telling the story so people don't feel bad about it, not doing it.
And. Well, we'll see. I mean, cathedrals, this was classified. Is it a church or a cathedral? What's the difference? Is it a cathedral?
Well, here's the question. This is a good question, and we should probably look it up because there's a cathedral in Oakland called it's the Oakland Cathedral, it's called. And it's a Catholic cathedral, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's one of the prettiest churches in the West Coast. It's extremely small. I think a cathedral relates to its size at some point because chapel, church, cathedral. I think it's just it's a volumetric decision. And at some point, Oakland, they called there's a cathedral. I think it's just a big church.
Nope. A church is a house of worship, a building in which Christians gather to perform the rituals of their religion and interact with one another and hold religious functions. A cathedral is a church which is also the seat in the bureaucratic sense more than the literal sense of a bishop.
Okay, so there's a bishop involved.
Was there a bishop in this church?
Oh, there has to be.
Must be a bishop. So then it would be a cathedral. So it's an HQ.
Yeah, okay.
It's true. HQ.
That probably accounts for the fact that the Oakland Cathedral is so small because there must be a
bishop. It's got to be a bishop involved.
There's a bishop there, and he probably thinks to himself, I get the smallest damn thing in the country here. Why am I stuck here? And it's Oakland.
Yeah. Well, these things take forever to build. I mean, it's like, and they're never done.
Well, that one, and there's one still being built. I think it's for, I don't know how many.
Gaudi. The Gaudi, the Sagrada Familia. That's
that thing.
They're still building that.
They've been built.
Yeah, they are. They're still building. They expect it to be done.
I visited it recently.
They expect
you
it
go
to
in
be
there and it's half done.
They expect it to be done 75 years earlier than initially planned because so many tickets have been sold because people like it. So they could, but we're talking 75 years. I don't know what Macron is talking about with his 5 years of rebuilding. Not if they're going to do an international design competition. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what. I mean, Pachenik might be right. You might be right. I mean, there's a lot of, it's very fishy, but everything that happens is fishy.
Well, for sure, it's being steered away from Muslims. And I'm also not so sure it's Muslims desecrating all these churches. I mean, there is not I've found no report that concluded that.
Well, the other thing is we have to mention that if it's usually not a lone wolf Muslim, because they usually kill themselves or something weird happens, and if it's a terrorist group, they love taking credit. And they'll take credit for stuff. They took credit for the Las Vegas shooting that nobody wants to pay any attention to.
Right. They said 3 times we did it.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. We did it. We don't think you did it. We did it.
Yeah.
So they always take credit for it. So if a Muslim group burnt them Notre Dame, and if there's some connection in the Middle East and or terrorism in Pakistan, they would have jumped up and said something, and there's been no reports of this. So we have to assume, I'm assuming that this is a consistent policy. It's a policy that if they didn't take credit, because they don't like to lie about these things, because maybe another group did it and then they get into a beef with them.
Well, as the weeks and months pass by, we'll find out a lot. We'll learn a lot about fire. We'll learn a lot about what it just seems like. This you need to get this fire started. The idea of a casually a cigarette butt cast aside is ludicrous. It's just ludicrous.
In a stone building.
It's I read accident. I know, no arson involved, but they can't. How can they even know? It takes a while to do this kind of analysis.
They said accident right away. I was watching the first report from France 24.
Of course.
And how could they say that?
Right.
Now, the thing that I learned just from here, listening to these reports, this was oak.
Yes.
These beams.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where they got that oak from, because the size of those beams is ridiculous. We use in the United States for giant beams, we use old growth redwood, which is still being cut down occasionally for some certain situations. And they may have to replace the oak with redwood, because you can get that size of beam in redwood, not oak.
It could be an international effort. California gives its redwood
there you
trees.
go, California.
Yes, nice.
Or Idaho. Actually, Idaho provides a lot of the big old growth.
But ultimately, what is going on? Who's calling me? Stop this. You're not supposed to call me during scam likely. Sure. Ultimately, it's just a building.
Well, it's a symbol of a lot of, I wouldn't call it just a building.
Well,
it's enjoyable. It's a target for tourists.
A lot of buildings are symbols.
Building is not where millions of tourists want to go.
No. Okay, so, I'm sorry. It was just a tourist attraction.
Well, you could say that it's I think it's glib, but it's not just a building.
Yeah, but
it's also old.
Every building has a history or is symbolic to somebody somehow. And it sucks. Okay, well then we'll build another one, build on top. It's like, what does it really symbolize? Does it symbolize the end of Christianity? I've heard these types of things, and I'm just not agreeing with this. It's a building that burned. Christianity remains.
Actually, the building, looking at after it was all said and done, it's really only the middle that burnt out, which had the wood.
Yeah,
the rest of it's pretty much intact.
Although there's some worry about is it limestone?
Yeah, it's going to push the thing. It could, because you need
limestone could. And by the way, the Christianity in France is pretty much over in most of Europe.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in the Netherlands, there were churches everywhere. People went to church. I went to church. It was normal. And then it just kind of started to fade away. It went away, and the churches became schools, or they became, other types of uses. So it's symbolic in that regard, I think, for some form of, it's all symbolism. It's all symbolism. So, yeah, there's an artistic value to it. I'm just being pragmatic, It's like, I'm sure people are like, oh, no. But seriously, it's just a building. It's sad, but it's building. You can build another one.
Yeah, well, I'm not of that opinion. Meanwhile...
Yeah, but you can't actually tell me what it is other than a tourist attraction. So, okay, lots of buildings are tourist attractions. The Capitol in Austin is a tourist attraction.
Tourist attraction is a symbol.
A symbol of what?
It's a symbol of a long forgotten past. It's a historic artifact.
Okay.
I'll stay with that.
All right.
We have a number of other things going on.
Quite a few, actually.
Been downplayed.
Mm-hmm.
The Notre Dame took over everything, took over the news cycle, except in Alberta.
Oh, what's going on in Scandinavia? What's happening there?
And only this show is going to give you. This is a major event that took place in Alberta. A new guy became the premier. He knocked out this woman, and Kenny's his name.
Literally, just right hook.
Knocked her out.
Yeah.
Notley was her name. She was and the parties has changed. There's a new party, the United Conservative Party, formed from offshoots of the Wild Rose Party and the Progressive Conservative Party. Canada has a lot of parties. And so they had this. So what's happened is the Albertans, which are suffering the most from all this
climate change, carbon tax?
Yes, there's a carbon tax that was imposed. And
well, hold on. Let's just remember, Canada is warming up twice as fast as the United States. So, they really needed to do something.
Yeah, because heaven forbid it gets warm up there.
Yeah, we don't want it to come down here.
So they're all up there, all bundled up, moaning about global warming. And believe me, of all the provinces, Alberta's up there with the coldest. So this guy ran and pretty much the United Conservative Party is a very conservative party. It's new. But they're offshoots of isn't this also Western style conservative?
Isn't Alberta also the oil province?
Yes, and this is the oil and oil shale.
Right.
And all oil sands, all that stuff.
Important context, people live off of that in Alberta.
Let's listen to the pre-election debate. Now, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 short clips. One of them is a little long, which was the good one, which is they get into an argument, which is cool. But it starts off with Kenny going on and on about the taxes, and this is the boringest of the clip. He's the guy who won, and it's not until he comes back with his other arguments that he's interesting. And I could just as soon skip that, but let's just say he sits there and bitches about it's costing Canadians, a lot of money a year because of this gas tax, this carbon tax. It's not even it's
an actual
on
tax.
gasoline. I want to do some math here and give you some ideas of what this tax is. This tax is, I think it's 27.8 cents a liter, and which amounts to, in American cents, if we were going to the pump, it'd be $1.04.
Over $1. Yeah,
over $1. In other words, one day your gasoline is $3 a gallon, or in case of California right now, $4.
If it was $3 a gallon in Texas, they'd be shooting. It's $2.35, which is expensive here too.
You're at $2.35. We're at $4. So now all of a sudden, your $2.35 goes to $3.35.
Yeah, that'd be a problem.
And ours goes to $5.
Yeah.
Not everybody is, is just happy with this sort of thing. And so it's caused a problem in Alberta. And everyone talks a big game about global warming, but then you start doing this bullcrap carbon tax, which does nothing for global warming. It's just a tax. I mean, how does it, for every gallon of gas you buy?
We don't have to debate the effectivity of it, and more the fact that it is possibly what started the fire in France. So, these gasoline taxes are problematic.
And that's the connection. So let's skip Kenny going on about what a jip it is, which is what I just did, and go to Notley, this blonde woman who is looks like she's just been run through the mill because she used to be very pretty, and she's going to do her comeback here. This is Notley 2.
Well, you know what? Our plan has already reduced greenhouse gas emissions by 7 megatons. And to put that in amounts that people can understand, that is 1/3 the annual emissions of the whole province of Manitoba. So we are taking action to phase out coal emissions and breathing cleaner air already. Now, the fact of the matter is that Mr. Kenny's numbers on savings actually ignore the rebates that we are giving to families. It also ignores the fact that our plan is paying for flood protection in the city of Calgary, for the LRT, for the Green Line, and for a growing and exciting renewable energy industry, which had been left to fail for 20 years. And so we're making incredible progress. We just can't afford to go backwards.
Thank you, Ms. Notley. Mr. Mandel.
So exciting. Renewable energy sector. It's so exciting.
So she goes on with this bull crap. Nobody's buying it. She got wiped out, by the way. It was a landslide. But there's two other candidates that were running, and both of them, they picked up as far as I can tell, they picked up no new members or anything. It was just a joke. The one guy, which is the next guy, is Mandel. He is the Alberta Party. So it's like another Canadian party that's localized. And he actually is a conservative in essence, and he blasts her and kind of sides with Kinney. I think he helped Kinney's cause.
Thank you. One of the challenges with the program is it's going to take almost $2.5 billion out of the economy. And it's going to go into a slush fund. And if more money is collected, what's going to happen? It's then going to general revenues. It's true. In reality, it's almost like a sales tax.
With no more
rebates. You should call it maybe a sales tax, but it's a carbon tax. The fact of the matter is Albertans are suffering right now. We have one of the worst periods of economic times we've had in the province history. And yes, you give it back to 2/3 of the people. So a third of the population says, "Oh, we're responsible for all the carbon reduction." The other 2/3, I guess, they don't care. They don't have to worry about it because they get all the money back. But what about the businesses that have to pay? There's so many businesses in this province that are suffering. They have all these additional costs. And that's where the carbon tax is having a tremendous negative impact.
We've got about
losing their
2 minutes left on this topic. Thank you, Mr. Mandel. I want to bring Mr. Khan in first, please.
Now, everybody in Canada says fact of the matter constantly.
Really? Or right now they do. It'll change. It morphs over time.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
So then now they bring in this guy who's the representative of the Liberal Party. This is not the same party as the NDP, which is the Notley's party. NDP is a New Democrat Party, which is it's a Liberal Party, but it's not the Liberal Party. The Liberal Party is Trudeau's party.
Mm-hmm.
And this Khan guy, who's
what's his name?
East Asian.
What's his name?
Khan. Khan.
Mm-hmm.
So Khan comes on with the most outrageous. I had to do a subclip because when you hear what he has to say, it was hinted at by this other guy who says that we're going to collect a tax from you, but then you're going to get some of it back, or you're going to get all of it back.
Yeah.
What's the point of collecting it? Seems to me, but okay.
Yeah.
Listen to what this guy has to say.
The Alberta Liberal plan is the only plan in which we care about the economy and the environment. That's why our plan would return all carbon tax revenue, every last cent, to consumers and businesses that are paying for it so that they're not hurt, but they are still encouraged to reduce carbon emissions because then they can actually make money when they have tax rebates and tax cuts. So we're the only party that's actually serious about both the economy and the environment. I think people that were looking at Mr. Mandel's party will be very sad to see that they clearly have no plan to reduce climate change except for talking about canola producers and hybrid cars. This is not the way to address climate change. And Albertans know that we've got to have a plan, but we want a plan that doesn't hurt our economy, that doesn't hurt Albertans in the pocketbook, but encourages people to reduce carbon emissions. And that's what our Alberta Liberal plan is.
All right, we've got 1 minute left on this.
I recall we discussed this idea that, we're levying a tax, but we give it back to you is bizarre.
Well, listen to it in close up. This is the Khan deconstruction of that one little clip.
That's why our plan would return all carbon tax revenue, every last cent, to consumers and businesses that are paying for it so that they're not hurt, but they are still encouraged to reduce carbon emissions because then they can actually make money when they have tax rebates and tax cuts.
You can make money by paying this tax.
Because you can get more. Wait, you can get more tax money back. Is that the idea?
Apparently, the idea is you pay the tax.
Oh, I see what it is. Then you have to do certain things like jump through a hoop of fire. You have to walk to school, take the bike, and then once you've checked off all the boxes, then you can get some of it back. And if you do more, if you're a really good doobie, then you might get extra. Is that the idea?
I'm guessing that has. I don't know. But I'm guessing what you said has to be the idea, because otherwise it just makes zero sense. But and I think you're right. What is the point of taxing somebody and then giving them the money back?
It's control.
Yeah, it is control.
It's control over the people. It's like, do this and you'll get your money back. Don't do this.
So it's already $1, and now the last clip is the Kenny and the woman, Notley. Rachel. The two of them get into a back and forth because he throws something out there that is apparently is a scheme that she's denying, which is that they're going to give you your money back now, but then they're going to increase it another 67%. There's some talk about this. I don't know the details. Someone, Alberta, listening to the show might tell me. And if they do that, they're not going to give you any of that back. So they're going to they're just going to make gasoline unaffordable. And I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, this was a foregone conclusion when this election ran. This guy was just going to knock her out of the park, but listen to the little back and forth we get here. It's kind of entertaining.
So
anyway.
this, please, Ms. Notley, 30 seconds, and then we'll end with
Mr.
Kenny.
Kenny's plan will actually accelerate climate change. He wants to take the cap off of oil sands emissions.
Absolutely.
A plan which actually many energy leaders support. He wants to get coal back online and extend the life of coal so that our air gets dirtier and our kids have more trouble breathing. This is not a vision for the future. The fact of the matter is that we need to be able to go forward making progress on combating climate change.
30 seconds left. That goes to Mr. Kenny,
to future
please.
generations. And you know what? Leadership isn't about the election cycle. It's about
30
planning for the
seconds
future.
left, Mr. Kenny, please.
Our levy on major emitters will affect coal production. Premier, I thought you told us you were against the cap on the oil sands because your ally Justin Trudeau hadn't got a pipeline built. Are you switching back? You just talked about rebates, Premier, but you've announced that when you raise the carbon tax by 67%,
actually,
there will be no increase. There will be no increase in rebates, and there will be no increase in green spending.
No, it's not
and by the way, Premier, we will carry over things like the LRT and the flood mitigation to the budget for infrastructure. But finally,
10 seconds, and we're going to move on. Please wrap up that thought,
we will ensure that no government can introduce a carbon tax in the future without going through Albertans in a referendum. So we can never have this kind of dishonest politics where the NDP foisted this on Alberta with the Albertans.
We're out of time on that topic, and we're going to move on. Thank you very much.
So that bullshit doesn't just happen here, huh? That's good to know.
Yeah, apparently it's exactly the same.
Yeah. Well, Finland just had an election, which was being touted in the press as, I'll read the headline here, the West's first climate election leaves Finland deeply divided. As 72%.
Everyone's going to have these climate elections. People should. That's why I wanted to play these Alberta clips.
Yep.
Because not one major news outlet in this country, and including the New York Times. I looked at the New York Times. I couldn't find it in there. It's discussing this, and this is a major event. Besides the fact that this Kinney guy could become a prime minister under, he has to become a House of Commons member, but he could do it. I mean, it's been done. This is a major, because this is there's a lot of other issues between the Conservatives and the Liberals in Alberta. A lot of them are kind of funny, including the schools requiring to out their when they find a student joining there's a funny bit. If a student joins the Gay Straight Alliance, his parents have to be told.
Wait a minute, the Gay Straight Alliance? What is that?
It's some club that's the rage in parts of Canada.
That's a contradiction in terms.
I know it makes no. Well, no, it's an alliance between the gays and straights.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the gay straight alliance. And then what? The parents need to be informed of this.
If you join the gay straight alliance in one of the high schools, you're still a high schooler. Your parents get informed and let you know that your son is in the gay straight alliance. This is a big scandal up there, one way or the other.
But
it's dumb compared to the point is this election is about one thing. And it's this stupid carbon tax that everybody, we're all in on global warming, whatever. Just let me get to work.
This is it. This is what every election is about. This is what. And by the way, I pasted a nice rundown from Sir Wunderhelm, who lives in Finland, about the bullcrap of this climate election, which is completely untrue. That's just made up. It's not even true. But that's what everyone needs to hear. The Dutch election is coming up, we have the EU election. That's what's next, and everyone's all in on the climate change. And I follow the Dutch politicians, and it's the climate change versus the not climate change. It's another thing to hang people's hats on to gain power.
Yes, and I think you can get so far with this. The climate change. Let's vote for climate change, which is dubious. But when you add the $1 a gallon carbon tax, see what happens. And that's what's going on in Canada. And I think Canada's a front runner. I think this is what's going to happen everywhere once they start extracting your money.
Well, this is your beat. And as you, specifically Canada, as you pay attention to the rollout of their renewable energy industry, keep a sharp eye on where they're getting their neodymium from for the wind turbines, which is you need for the magnets. Mining neodymium creates radioactive waste, and not just a little bit. It's a toxic situation.
That doesn't surprise me. That's for making very high-powered magnets, which is what you want.
Yeah, it's what you need. It's what you need. Yeah. For those looking it up, neodymium, neodymium. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing here. There's no difference. It's the Green New Deal. It's another power play by certain people just to get something going, and everyone's jumping on it, not even knowing what they're talking about. Just we need a Green New Deal. Just give me the power. I'll take care of it. It's so cynical, really. Very cynical. So the gas price in Texas has gone up by 25 cents. So 10% in the past, I'd say 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think it's just inflation. That to me is just pure inflation. I saw the numbers, our deficit. We're printing money like crazy. So to me, it's like, that's got to be inflation. We should see the same with food. We should see the same with everything. I think we're in an inflationary issue here in the United States. I don't know anything about it because I'm not on that DH Unplugged show, but what else could it be? It's not taxes.
Well, if it's not taxes, the price of oil is supposed to have something to do with it, but the price of oil is pretty stable.
Stable, yeah.
Now, if you take a look at, and I always recommend people do this, the inflation rate in this country is around 2%. And
officially, thank you.
But if you take a look at shadowstats.com,
I bet you they put it closer to 7.
No, it's closer to 10.
Well, that's exactly what I said. 10% in six weeks. That's an annual figure, the 10%, but it doesn't surprise me. We're printing money. It's the new monetary theory.
Well,
modern monetary theory. Sorry, I got it wrong. Modern monetary theory. Just print away. It's fine.
Well, they're not. I mean, it's not more money in circulation. It's paperwork. It's money on the books, kind of.
Well, you know what? Well, let's just take one moment. We're running late anyway. I happen to have Bernie Sanders' economic advisor and professor of economics, Stephanie Kelton, and I think I got this from the Jimmy Dore show, and she explains modern monetary theory.
There definitely is a big divide in terms of the way different economists approach how government can be influential in the economy. You talked about trickle-down economics. You said trace back to Ronald Reagan. That is for sure correct. So the idea being that the tax cuts go mostly to the so-called job creators. So you have to skew the benefits to the people that we most revere, the people who will go out and do the big spending into the economy, hire workers, and give that big boost. Keynesians tend to be, I think, associated more with big government spending. But you could be a Keynesian and also be in favor of tax cuts. But you would want to see tax cuts that are skewed, like you said, to the people who you can put more money in their pockets and they'll go out and spend. And a tax cut would be just fine thing to do if you were putting more money in the hands of the pockets of the people who are the real job creators. And in our economy, the real job creators are the American consumers, because that's where...
This is interesting. This is what made me understand MMT, modern monetary theory. The idea is the people who create jobs are not people who are entrepreneurs and start businesses. In fact, I think it's podcasters.
In our economy, the real job creators are the American consumers, because that's where most of the demand comes from. I said it. It's you. It's me. It's regular old people who make less than $1 million a year and spend virtually everything they get. So if you give an extra, bit of money to those folks, they're going to turn around and spend virtually all of it back into the economy, creating demand for the goods and services that our businesses produce. They get swamped with customers. Their revenues go up, their profits go up, and lo and behold, they decide, I better hire some more people. I need to invest some more because I'm swamped with demand for my stuff. So that's a pretty Keynesian way to do it. It's just, I think we've come to believe over time that Republicans are always the party that favors tax cuts and Democrats are always the party that favors more government spending. And MMT kind of comes in and says, actually, both would work, provided that you're spending on things that will materially boost economic activity. They're not boondoggle projects. You're doing good types of spending into the economy, providing things that people actually value and that will lead to some job creation. And if you want to do some tax cuts as well, that's okay too. But make sure the tax cuts go where they'll do the most good in the economy. And that means to the people who will turn around and spend virtually everything and not turn around and pad their 401ks, buy more real estate, buy more shares of stock and the like.
So the idea is give more money to the consumers, and they will start to spend that like crazy on all the important things they don't need, and that will create jobs.
Yes. Give the money to the consumers so they can buy more junk from China.
And there's apparently no downside to printing all this money.
Yeah, so that's why the federal government could afford to do both, to spend more into the economy and also provide some additional tax cuts if it wants to sort of create more jobs and see more activity, because unlike a household, it can spend more and take in less at the same time and still end up all right. Whereas if you and I went around doing that time after time, I'm going to take fewer hours this week. I'm not going to work as much. I'm going to let my hours fall and my income will go down. And by the way, I'm going to spend more as well. We'd run into real problems. But because the federal government isn't like a household, it isn't like a city like Detroit. It's not like Puerto Rico. It's not like the state of Kansas. The federal government is where the money comes from. So because, and everybody actually deep down in their core, they know this. Everyone.
Sorry.
She says, first of all, it's not like Detroit. It's not like Puerto Rico. She starts naming all these failed ideas. And then she throws in the state of Kansas?
Yeah, why not? I mean,
what does the state of Kansas got to do with anything?
Come on.
Actually, deep down in their core, they know this. Everyone knows that that Congress has the power of the purse. We use the term, the power of the purse. And somehow we just sort of don't connect the dots and come to fully appreciate what that means, which is that they can never run out of money, and we can.
Oh, my goodness. That's Bernie's economic advisor.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese. With this whole Justice Democrats operation.
Yeah.
With their, what are you going to do? How are you going to pay for it? Oh, we'll just pay for it.
Print it. Just print it. It's no problem. They have the purse. The purse is never empty.
They don't seem to understand there is a that the economic system based on capitalism, which capitalism is about capital, it means money. It's a money-based economy that you have to have the money at some point because someone's going to want it. You just can't keep owning it forever. But if you keep owning it forever, they say, look, we're tired of you owning it forever. We're going to take your stuff. And by the way, we'll throw you in jail too, for good measure. So we're going to take your stuff, throw you in jail, and there you go. Yeah. Now what are you going to do?
Yeah. All right. Well, then I have one last clip just to wrap this up, since we're into the monetary theory. And I seriously think that there's some inflationary stuff going on here that we're not being told about. But I was watching Max and Stacy the other day, Max Kaiser and Stacy Herbert. Is that her name?
Herbert, yeah.
Stacy Kaiser. And they were talking about something interesting that happened with Bitcoin and gold, actually, when the most recent Fed minutes were released. And, of course, Max has a conclusion, and it's worth listening to.
You see that Bitcoin is making moves towards being one of these perhaps unit of accounts, this global reserve currency with gold. Cryptos are spiking after Fed minutes signal, quote, financial instability fears. Bitcoin has spiked above 5,400 and the rest of the crypto space is soaring, seemingly catalyzed by Fed minutes, which showed a lack of immediacy in cutting rates and anxiety over leverage and financial instability. Quote, a few participants observed that the appropriate path for policy, insofar as it implied lower interest rates for longer periods of time, could lead to greater financial stability risks. And that's the spike that happened immediately upon the Fed minutes being released.
Right. Well, I'll be speaking again at the Bitcoin 2019 conference in San Francisco. The topic will be the Tao of Bitcoin. And you just need to understand that Bitcoin is on its own journey, and it has a way of making people that challenge it look really stupid. In the Bitcoin space, of course, you had Craig Wright, you had Roger Ver, you had Mike Hearn, these people that suffered from Bitcoin derangement syndrome. Now, in the past couple of years, you've got Nouriel Roubini, Paul Krugman, and a few others that are in mainstream economics now who are looking really stupid because they never took the time to investigate what Bitcoin's all about. They obviously know nothing about economics, finance, or markets. Otherwise, they would not make such ill-informed opinion. And soon, a state actor will begin mining Bitcoin for strategic reserve purposes, and the hash wars will be played out on a state level. And that's what will take us to new all-time highs as we get closer to the prediction we made on this show back in 2011, when the price was $1, that we'll see $100,000 per Bitcoin.
Yeah. All right. And I think we've talked about this before. I think Mnuchin should immediately announce that the United States is mining Bitcoin. It's a great idea. The Treasury is perfectly suited for that. Fantastic.
Well, we got a lot of computers.
Yeah, exactly. $100,000 of Bitcoin. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you for your courage to say in the morning to you, the man who put the C in Chartres, John C. Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. Also in the morning to all the ships at sea and fade on the ground and subs in the water and dames of the nights out there.
In the morning to the troll room, very uppity today, the troll room. Even Doug is acting up. And you can join them if you feel like it. That's noagendastream.com. 24/7 we've got shows running there. Just not the No Agenda show. We got all kinds of shows running, like the Mark and George show. And you can hop in there. Got about 1,000 people every single show. It's just about enough so that you can confuse everything, including us. But sometimes there's great one-liners, some good information, and it's a nice, fun place to hang out. NoAgendaStream.com. And I would also like to thank Nick the Rat, who comes in with just a beautiful piece of art. This was the cat in the corner from the Dutch proverb that a cat driven into the corner could make strange jumps. And let's see, we had a discussion about this.
We had a long discussion about this artwork because there was a funnier piece on there. I'd have to go look.
And yeah, well, I'm looking now, and I recall we had the discussion. I said, this is a funny piece.
funny. Okay, let me go.
Maxine Waters, banging my gravel.
Oh yeah, banging my gravel. We thought was funnier because it was just.
It's the lowest. It's a cheap laugh.
It's a cheap laugh.
We always go for the cheap laughs. Are great.
So what we did was we got the discussion went thus: cheap laugh, which we love, versus actual art.
Yeah, and come on, man, cheap laughs. Think of the money.
Yeah, he was pushing for the cheap laugh, but he had to finally give in because as the Canadians say, at the end of the day, art is really what we're aiming for. And this was a very artistic and a very stylishly artistic piece. And people don't understand why that we think that it is. You have to look at modern art and the way modern layouts done and some of these designs, which are, in this case, is quasi-minimalist with this sloppy type font. And it was very
It's
artsy.
a beautiful piece. It's very artsy.
And we his moments of being very artsy, and this was one of his more artsy pieces. I would have, if just looking at the piece out of the blue, I would have never guessed it as a Nick piece.
And,
no offense, Nick. No offense, but I would have not picked this out as a Nick the Rat piece.
But it was also a piece that really only worked for that episode, which made
and it only worked
sense.
for the episode. The other thing might come out because she's going to be banging her gravel quite a bit.
Yeah, and we use that as the title, banging my gravel.
Yeah, we ended up using it as a title. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Nick, and thank you to all the artists who always participate in this.
Well, thanks to Darren O'Neill for giving us the title.
Well, thanks to everybody who's in there with their art. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. It's really phenomenal to watch, and it does a great deal of good for the show because it does show up on increasingly more podcast apps and players who take the time to implement the protocol properly. So when you change your artwork, it shows up.
Yes, it should. It's supposed to.
It's the protocol. It's the format of the feed. But okay, a lot of developers are lazy, and they think no one changes it anyway. Why should we bother? Well, there you go. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Thank you very much. Right. And that is how our Value for Value network operates. This is a big piece of value we got from Nick the Rat, and we appreciate it. He's also on NoAgendaStream.com with his Wednesday night show. And we'd like to thank some people who supported the program financially, not to be underestimated in level of importance.
Agreed. So let's thank a few people, starting with MFDX or Mufdisk. That's what he insists his name be used. It's 420, which is 420. Hello.
Hey.
69. There's a couple of gags in there, I guess. And he says, please keep my real name anonymous, a donation. In the morning, first-time donor, all-night boner. Oh, brother. Please accept my donation in the amount of my two favorite numbers. I've been listening long enough to know that mine is the first donation in this dollar amount, and as such, I would like to name this the Afternoon Delight donation amount, which is coming up. 420 is Saturday.
Yes.
And so we will be accepting Afternoon Delight donations. Jingles, as is my want. I would like to have my karma rudely interrupted by a double tap. If you've got whip, pew pew, I don't know. Yeah. If you don't hear from me again in the next few weeks, I'm an idiot.
Well, we certainly hope we do hear from you.
Yeah.
You've got
nailed it.
Kenneth Beer, 358.13. Oh, I see what he's meant when he says he's an idiot. Because what we did is we shot his karma.
Yes. Well, that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted.
Kenneth Beer, Beare, 358.13, another executive producer. Thanks to Adam and John for keeping me sane. Here in Portlandia, things are a little skewed. That's true.
That's true.
This donation brings me to Sir status, which I would love to claim.
Okay.
Please pronunciate me.
No, pronunciate.
Pronunciate me, Sir Deliot.
Deliot. I think it's Deliot. Deliot.
Deliot. Okay. Also, a birthday shout out for April 5th, 19th, which is also the meetup in Portland, What a lucky coincidence.
Yeah.
Please give Jobs Karma for Human Resource Catherine, who is graduating in June and looking for her place in today's competitive landscape.
Absolutely, Catherine. Here you go.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Jason Schiffer drops down to associate executive producer with $274.18 from Wilmot, New Hampshire. Today is the 27th anniversary of marriage with my smoking hot wife, Ako, pronounced like taco. While I only found the best podcast in the universe a few months ago, I recently had the opportunity to smack her in the mouth when she asked, "What the fuck are you listening to?" I can actually see that happening. I would like 100% of this donation to go to the eventual damehood, and as this is our first donation, I request a dedouching.
Yeah, she's going to really wonder what this is about.
You've been dedouched.
Okay.
Would you also add another 27 years karma? Amazing, and it's true jingles.
Yeah, you bet. And welcome, Ako.
Oh my God, that is amazing! That's true.
You've got karma.
Christopher Eisenhart in Palo Alto, California, $250. We should do a South Bay meetup, and maybe this guy would show up.
You should.
Hope this reaches you well. I wasn't sure this email to send a note to. I was hit in the mouth several years ago by a friend who now claims knighthood. It is my first donation. I feel obligated to ask for a dedouching.
Yeah, we got that for you.
You've been dedouched.
Been great listening to you and Adam deconstruct the media, and I find myself noting media tactics more and more in real time, especially the whipsaw. In December, I took a leap of faith and joined a startup working on accelerating bioinformatics pipelines using FPGAs, field programmable gate arrays for you out there. Unfortunately for me, I did not do my research. The company has Chinese influences and demanded a 996 work schedule from all engineers and quality QA, but not management. Then 3 months after my hiring, they decided that our division was not necessary and shut it down entirely.
Hey, what's a 996 work schedule?
I don't know. Someone in the chat room should know. I don't.
Something Chinese.
9 hours, 96 hours a week, 9 hours a day. I don't know.
Field programmable gate array.
What did I say?
I think you said floating.
I didn't say floating.
Okay. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. That's 996.
9 a.m., 9 p.m. Oh,
no wonder the Chinese are kicking our ass. That's their schedule? Huh.
Dude, no, apparently the Chinese don't work. That's just you.
Well, the Chinese are smart, making other people work 996. Damn.
So 996, that's good. I didn't know that. But then 3 months after my hire, I have to go back. I'm going to listen to the tape. If I said floating,
you did.
I'm thinking floating
You
point.
did.
But I know what it is. It's field programming.
I know. It's okay. You make a mistake. It's not a problem.
There, you can pre-program it.
It's okay. I make mistakes all the time.
I don't.
Just showing up was a mistake this morning.
3 months after my hiring, I was fired. Anyway, today I had a great in-person interview, and I realized it was the perfect time to donate for some of that sweet jobs karma. Can I also get an L. Sharpton, Andrew Lang, and why are you raffing?
Yeah.
Which, of course, is I can see why he wants that. Thanks, and keep up the good work.
He is running Democratic primary for president. He's an entrepreneur, founder of Venture for America, and one of the first to say, yes, let me come and speak to the National Action Network, and we want to hear from him, Mr. Andrew Lang. Give him a hand.
Don't laugh. Why you are laughing? Shut up.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
You know that cute. Why are you raffing after a Sharpton is a great idea.
It's a great idea. Yeah, I thought it was cute.
Yeah, very funny. And finally, our last associate executive producer, Sir Tim of the Tunnels in Waipahu, Hawaii. Waipahu. This donation brings me to the rank of baronet while in charge of the title. While the change of title has me positively cock-a-hoop.
What? Cock-a-hoop?
Well, he's cock-a-hoop. I guess maybe it's a phrase in Hawaii. Hawaii.
Hawaii.
I asked the guy once, how do you pronounce Hawaii? Is it Hawaii or Hawaii?
It's Hawaii.
And the guy says to me, it's Hawaii. And I said, well, thanks. He says, you're welcome.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he'll be here all week, ladies and gentlemen.
The march of the barony has only begun. Thanks for being the consummate professionals that you are and generating a superior auditory product and top-notch analysis.
Oh, thank you.
Moving karma for Adam. Moving karma for Adam. Moving karma for Adam. May you survive your move to your love nest with the keeper and with an acceptable level of casualties. Jingles, Raven, Goat Foamer, Jordan Peterson, that's wrong.
Straight from Reseda, here she is, Raven. Give it up.
Oh my God! Woo! Listen to that goat.
That's wrong.
You've got karma.
Yes, thank you. Sir Tim of the Tunnels.
That is our group of Sosh and executive producers for show 11:30. And let me look at the clock. It's 11:30. No, it's not.
We really appreciate our executive and associate executive producers coming in strong today. This is important. It keeps the show running. This is your version of your value for value. This is the way every single podcast should operate. Did you listen? Yeah. Was it worth anything to you? No. All right, fine. Listen again next week. Did you listen? Yeah. Was it worth? Yeah, I got something out of it. Was it worth to you? Different than the next guy. It's a very simple system. We've been doing it for 11 years. There are entire seminars that show you how to do a podcast and how to make a living at it. And we've somehow cracked the code. And it started by calling you producers and not listeners, because that's what you are. Every single email, every single jingle, every piece of art. Yes, also the finances. That's what producers do. It's our show. It is the inverse of radio. Radio, you got a producer, and he's doing stuff for you, and you talk to everybody, and that's it.
And advertisers.
And you got advertisers.
Telling you what to do.
Telling you what to do.
As you pointed out earlier in the show, bosses telling you not to bring this up or that up or even introduce anything because it's in the memo not to even say anything.
Dvorak.org
exactly.
/NA.
Well, now you know how to do a podcast. Go out there, tell everybody about it. Propagate.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Order.
Contra.
Shut up,
Choopidoo. Okay. And there is... Oh, did you see...
I got a little entremont, a little something funny.
Okay.
So there's this guy, I guess a video vlogger, podcaster, video guy.
Ho! Please. You of all people, do not disappoint me again by saying podcaster, vlogger in the same sentence. No.
Well, this guy is a podcaster,
okay,
but he's really more of a YouTuber.
Okay.
So he makes, and he lives in this apartment on Hollywood and Vine. You know the neighborhood.
Yes, I know it well, actually.
A little place there.
That was my corner.
Supposedly, I never heard it. I no offense to these. I know there's a lot of these guys. I never listened to this. Mostly millennial type audience. So I don't know who these guys are. And there's a lot of women.
Oh, is this Logan? Is this Logan Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, everyone knows Logan Paul.
I don't know Logan Paul. But I do know that supposedly he's making $1 million a month.
It could be
until he started doing weird stuff.
Yeah, until he went into the hanging woods where the Japanese kids hang themselves and was shooting video of it, and then everyone hated it. He's been subject to cancel culture in the past.
Okay, so he's a cancer culture victim.
Ah, there we go.
Now he, I don't know why he did this, but he brought on just like bringing in somebody. To me, this is like bringing in an alien from another dimension. not really having any idea what's going to happen. I mean, I always think but listening to what you just said and what Logan Paul might represent, he would be risky like this. So he brought Alex Jones onto one of his productions, and Alex Jones, I don't know if Jones doesn't like him or he just thinks it's funny or he just wanted to show the guy up.
Jones is doing a lot of podcasts and YouTubers these days.
Is he going nuts on them like he did on this thing?
I don't know. I don't catch him. I didn't see this, but I know Logan Paul. I don't know. I have not heard this episode.
Well, this is quite amusing.
I think people know that I'm completely mentally together.
I disagree. You said on Joe Logan Paul.
That's a mix of Joe Logan.
Podcast. You said
you guys get married. It's Jolo. Dude, what if you guys got married? That would be the biggest celebrity marriage. You and Joe get married. I would be the preacher.
Think about that podcast. Think about that podcast.
Dude, but here's the thing. Who's Joe pitching Logan. And who's catching? Are you going to deliver to Joe? Or are you going to let him get behind you and give it to you?
Are you going to answer or are you just going to ignore it, you think?
Yeah. No, seriously. I'm going to ask, is Joe Rogan going to screw you or are you going to screw him?
I think I'm going to set this play out.
See how this works?
You said on
Ice cubes at?
You could have, we got ice coming? Oh, more ice.
Oh, good.
Right here.
Hey, we're having some fun now. See how this works?
I want to
get in there.
Where were you headed?
I was just going to say,
where were you headed? Before you got fucked in,
before you got into the division of Jolo.
Yeah,
listen. Or would it be Lojo? Lojo or Jolo?
What about Cujo? Stephen King.
Well, how about all three of us in a polyamorous?
Does this go anywhere, or is this just nut jobby?
Oh, you just stepped kind of on his.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, all right. Let me go back a bit.
Lojo or Jolo?
What about Cujo? Stephen King.
Well, how about all three of us in a polyamory get married? It would be Logan Paul, Alex Jones, and Joe Rogan all get married, and then we marry Eddie Bravo at the same time.
What do you think happens in that
Bravo,
case?
Logo, Joe, Joneso.
Jesus Christ!
I was gonna say on Joe Rogan, you said, and I quote,
"Kind of retarded."
I'm kind of retarded.
He said it for you.
What'd you mean by that?
Well, it just means I have a lot of psychic powers.
Oh. Nice shit.
No, seriously. I am kind of socially retarded because I say what I want to say. And then I do get that people can then be hurt by it. But the whole world's hurting you. Gravity's pulling you down towards the ground. There's pollen outside. There's everything we do kills us. The whole point is get into it instead of letting it defeat you.
I feel very uncomfortable watching this. Listening to this.
What is the point of having? I just found this thing to be the most baffling, homoerotic kind of weird.
Well, I've always said, especially when Roger Stone was still at the InfoWars, a lot of homoerotic stuff going on there, which is fine. This is peak YouTube. This is all going away, by the way. If you have built your career on YouTube, find other work because it's going to go away. PewDiePie too, all of them. It's so predictable. And it's so baffling that people. Did you know that now the meme makers are unionizing? People who make memes have created a union.
What?
Because they feel that they are doing free work for these companies, in particular Instagram and Twitter. And they're unionizing because, they're getting kicked off for doing memes. They have no protection. And they have this idea that they have rights to be here.
Did you have rights for snide remarks in the chat room?
Well, people do have that.
You had the chat room to unionize. You're being exploited by Adam.
Hold on. It's a troll room. And yes, of course I'm exploiting them. But, this is the difference.
Workers control the means of production.
The problem is that these people make $1 million a month. It's like Olivia Jade, Laughlin's kid. This is permanent damage. Permanent. There should be a troll union, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that.
Troll union.
And I was
there. You go. There's the show title.
I can't remember. I'll write it down. I can't remember why I was looking it up, but I'm a pretty strict constitutional scholar. And, when I read Congress shall make no law or, the right to bear arms, I take it pretty literally. So when I think about all the new media that we have, what you and I are doing here truly is an actual First Amendment exercise, because any dictionary you look in, freedom of speech does not say the written word, doesn't say money you give to someone.
No, it's the word speech.
It's speech. What you say, you may say whatever you want. And I think you could even argue that maybe, YouTube is not just speech. But this is speech. This is truly speech. And what those guys are doing, I find it, especially Alex Jones, I'm sad. The guy is off the deep end. He wasn't. I mean, I understood what he was doing. This I do not understand. There's something very odd going on with him. And it is my understanding that once iTunes pulled him, that somehow that the podcast was really a big part of his audience, that he really lost a lot of the audience and maybe some of his shit. I can't really laugh about that with Logan Paul. I've seen him once or twice. I don't care about him. So things we're in peak YouTube. That's going to go away. If you
call it peak YouTube, I call it the golden age of the internet.
Yeah. Remember when we could say whatever we wanted? Yeah. Well, luckily, thanks to our infrastructure, Void Zero running the show there, the wizardry behind the scenes with Sir Bemrose and a cast of thousands, we're not really susceptible to the same type of deplatforming as others, but there's certainly risk. So let's talk about vaccines, because there's something interesting going on that I think I identified 2 weeks ago, and there's more to the story. This incessant push of the MMR, mumps, measles, rubella vaccine, which is being positioned as a very scary epidemic. You could die. You must immediately take your government shots. And there's a lot of confusion because this vaccine is not 100% effective. And so I'm not sure when a vaccine is a vaccine. And by the way, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I'm a semi-vaxxer. I think some vaccines are good. I think you should make some decision about other things you do. And I stay at home anyway, so you got nothing to worry about. But with the MMR vaccine, it is not true that you get vaccinated and that you won't get the measles. In fact, many people who get the vaccine turn around and get the measles or the mumps. Rubella, we've only heard one rumored thing at the Detroit Auto Show. So now we have a push. This push is to get your second, your booster shot, which apparently, and they have this down to a science because you'll hear it in these clips, everyone repeats it. If you only have one, 93% covered. If you get a booster, 97% covered. But there's still that 3% chance you can get the measles even though you get a vaccine. And I thought the idea of the vaccine is you give someone a dead version of the virus, you build up the immunity, and nothing's going to happen.
Yeah, it seems like bogus. But I want to mention one thing before you continue. There was I don't have the clip, but the doctor came out and he mentioned the fact that before if you get measles, you're immune forever. If you get the shot, you're not.
Correct.
He said that before the measles vaccine, which apparently came out in the 50s or 60s, I never got one. I don't.
1957.
Okay, 1957.
And there's a reason I say that, because you'll hear it in these clips.
Okay, but the point is that he says before the shot, there's no reported cases of anyone dying, not rubella, but anyone dying from the common measles. Nobody ever died from it. You just got this situation.
Certainly no infants. No.
But since the shot, 104 people have died from the shot.
Yes.
Just a little tidbit there for people who are thinking we're anti-vaxxers.
No,
we're anti-death, man.
Yeah, I'm anti-death, and I'm a semi-vaxxer. Let's go to the need for adults to get a new shot. ABC, by the way, a lot of ABC on this. Here's ABC Nashville.
As a mom of 5 and a nurse, Krista Molino knows a thing or two about vaccines.
I vaccinate all my kids because I feel that if we don't, it's going to bring all these diseases back.
But a recent national measles outbreak is now potentially putting millions more at risk.
Is both concerning and scary to me.
And we're not just talking children.
People in that age range from the 30s to the 60s who may have been vaccinated might only have gotten one dose of the measles vaccine.
Meaning you may be missing a dose as an adult. The virus is contagious that without these, an infected person can spread it to a whopping 90% of the people close to them who don't have immunity. Health experts caution, don't assume you're in the clear. Do you think a lot of people know that?
I don't think they do.
Start by checking your medical records. If you're unsure, you can ask your doctor to test your blood or go right ahead and get the shot.
Hey, you know what? Just go ahead. Even if you're not sure, just go ahead and get a shot because 3 can't hurt.
Doctor to test your blood or go right ahead and get the shot.
A third shot of the measles vaccine will not be harmful.
Florida is not an outbreak zone, but this doctor warns.
I think Florida is at risk because of the theme parks in Orlando being such a draw for international tourists.
And while having even a single dose is better than nothing, he stresses, don't take the risk.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't risk it, people. And this
Don't take a chance.
And this was from ABC Nashville, but the report was a package from Florida from another ABC station. Exactly 2 minutes in length, which I chopped down. I think these are native ads. Here's WCBS in New York.
Coming at a holiday travel time that by design makes measles multiply.
We are definitely going to see more.
Dr. Rabia Aga is chief of pediatric infectious diseases at Maimonides Children's Hospital, wanting to bust myths surrounding measles that she knows some parents misguidedly use to justify no vaccines at all.
That they think measles is a mild viral illness with just a rash and fever.
The consequences for infants up to 6 months, kids with cancer, and others who must forego vaccinations for health reasons can be deadly, from pneumonia to permanent brain illnesses.
Sometimes parents want to delay the giving of the vaccine, but that would be like putting a child in a seatbelt after you've already made the travel to the store.
Dr. Abner spoke to us about some people perhaps more concerned about their own risks than they need to be. Booster shots are not necessary, he says. If you've had the 2, you're good. And here's his message for people born before the late 1950s.
If you're born before 1957, because measles was so prevalent, you've pretty much, it's a general assumption that you have been exposed and probably contracted the disease.
His plea to others, vaccinate, because if you don't, you won't be welcome in many public places. At this hospital, a sign that makes it clear in large type, no vaccine, no entry. Anything to protect vulnerable patients and the public.
Well, so this is, one of these, let's just insert a little clip and then, hey, that's like taking your kid to the grocery store and putting the seatbelt on after you get there, you crazy, horrible parents. Let's go to someone who's smart. Let's check out NPR.
The CDC thinks that more families are traveling to these countries and bringing the virus back home. And then here at home, we have another problem, and that's vaccination rates. In several pockets around the country, communities, vaccination rates have dropped dramatically.
She's referring only to 2 places, 2 Orthodox Jewish communities who have the measles. I don't think anyone's died there yet, but I'd love to get an update. But that's really what this is based upon.
Dramatically in the last few years, below the level that's required to really protect the whole community. So once the virus comes to the U.S. from another country, it has a better chance of getting a foothold and triggering an outbreak.
And this is a very contagious virus, we should say, right?
Oh, it's a very contagious virus.
Right, compared to others?
Oh, super, super contagious.
Super. It's not just contagious, super contagious and beyond super.
So,
what is super contagious?
That's one step above very contagious.
Okay, so super contagious is
super
2 steps
contagious.
above.
Oh my!
Super.
It travels through the air, and if somebody coughs and sneezes on you, and you aren't protected with a vaccine, there's a 90% chance you're gonna get infected.
Which explains why we could see these numbers spike. You have a few parents who decide not to vaccinate, and then all of a sudden, it starts getting passed on in a significant way.
So this is the thing that drives me crazy. A vaccination should work. And what they're saying is vaccinations don't work. At least this one doesn't. It only works to a certain degree. Therefore, you have to have herd immunity. And so then, one guy who doesn't vaccinate or girl is the a-hole in the bunch because you could spread it to other people. But it's not really effective.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And actually, communities need about 95% of everyone vaccinated in order to really stop these outbreaks. And doctors say it's really important.
And why does it? Thank you. So if you have 93, she's just making it up, by the way. I don't believe her at all. So there's still 5 to 7% who are unvaccinated, but herd immunity takes over. It's bullshit.
These outbreaks. And doctors say it's really important to make sure you have 2 doses of the vaccine, not just one. So parents should check to make sure everyone has 2 doses, including adults, in order to get full protection.
Oh, that sounds like
full protection. No, it's not full protection. It's 97%.
Important clarification. I mean, some people might think they've had a dose, they're vaccinated, but that doesn't do the job.
Yeah, and it's important for adults to be vaccinated too. I know that I needed a booster, like when I was pregnant. So just make sure you check with your doctor that every kid and family member is vaccinated. And especially with babies, some doctors are recommending that if you're in an outbreak, that babies get vaccinated early.
Yeah, shoot them up. Last one. Because now we've really done it. It's gone international. It's in Israel.
An Israeli flight attendant is now in a coma after getting the measles. She's in the ICU in a hospital near Tel Aviv. Live to Tel Aviv, and our senior medical correspondent Elizabeth Cohen with more on this story. That poor woman, her brain started to swell, Elizabeth, and she can't even breathe on her own.
I have no words.
I mean, is that something that's a common complication of measles?
You know, Robin, I wouldn't say common, but I would say well known. When I talked to doctors about this, they said, yes, this is what sometimes happens. People think of measles as a rash and a fever and not a big deal, but that is just not true. Measles used to kill hundreds of people a year in the United States before we started vaccinating. And encephalitis, which is the disease that this woman has, is one of the reasons. Pneumonia is another reason. And the thing is, Robin, we can't predict who's going to get these terrible complications. This woman was previously healthy. She had no known underlying medical conditions. She was a flight attendant. She was 43 years old, working hard. It's not clear why some people get these terrible complications. You can't predict it.
And she's connecting.
Encephalitis is a different ailment.
Thank you. Well, she's saying that it's hard to connect the two, but let's do it anyway. And so, yeah, it's hard, but hey, get your shot.
These terrible complications, you can't predict it.
This is even more confusing, I think, that based on her age, at the age of 43,
here we go.
They think that she was probably vaccinated as a child. But many people don't realize in 1989 in the United States is when they figured out, oh, you probably need 2 shots is better.
Oh, okay.
So she was actually vaccinated and ended up with encephalitis because of measles.
Right. So
does this make sense to people?
So when we solved it and we invented the vaccine and we find out now 30 years later that it's not really effective, thanks.
Right. Right, and they figured that out in Israel and the rest of the world at approximately the same time. So what happened was vaccination started around the world in like the mid-1960s, and they only gave 1 shot because they thought that's all people needed. But then they realized, wait a second, we're not getting the high rates of immunity that we want to have. And so they figured out in the 80s that they actually needed to do 2 shots. Now, don't panic if you were a child in the 60s, the 70s, or the 80s. 1 shot does help enormously. It gives you about 93% protection. But 2 shots gives you about 97% protection. So it's just a little bit more, but that little bit more can really matter.
We're all gonna die.
Yeah. I mean, this is such a media push with so much conflicting and bad information that it's concerning.
I have to tell you, and I don't know if you remember it, but I do because I remember it in that I did a compilation of clips for a show once.
Mm-hmm.
And in that, and this was whenever that year was, that was the previous year it was, and I believe it to be about 7 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
This they did the same game on the American public, and they took it to another level. And that there's a clip. If you look up clips and look up the measles clip, the measles clip came from a Law and Order show, which was about 7 or 8 years ago. And in the show, some woman had refused to give her kid a vaccination for measles, and the kid sat next to some other kid who then had a pregnant mom, and the pregnant mom died or gave birth to a dead baby or something, and they put the woman under
quarantine.
No, they charged her with a crime, and they found her guilty.
Oh, I do remember. Was that a Law and Order clip?
Yeah, it was a Law and Order, and it was one of the weird Law and Orders. It wasn't the regular one. And they found her guilty because it was some law in New York that if you put people at risk, even though I guess with AIDS it doesn't count, you end up with you can be charged with a crime. And that was what it was about. And there was a big push about measles, and it was the same thing, story after story after story for about 3 months at least. And it was over the top, just the same way it is now. I don't know why this cycle is what it is.
Well, I don't have that. I don't think that the archive goes back that far, but I do see. See, this is 2013 BBC.
Just have a quick word with Sarah, who's brought Phoebe along. No, she was due her vaccination because she's 3 years and 4 months. You decided to do it a little bit early. Tell me why.
She's starting school on the 16th.
Okay, that's bullcrap. What's this? This is one of yours, 2014?
Just a few hours ago, we've learned 2 kids in Marin County have the measles. The health department says these kids were not vaccinated. The only details we know are that these children are related and they got infected somewhere outside the county. Tonight, they're in isolation. They'll be confined for the next 3 weeks.
I don't have your...
Well, the point is...
No, I understand. It's a cycle.
It's not a yearly cycle.
Nope.
But it's a cycle of some sort. And it kind of wanders in and wanders out with all these packages, and it's obviously the drug companies pushing it.
Yep.
But maybe they're have oversupply, or I don't know what the deal is. But there's something fishy. I mean, you think it's fishy just period. Well, but I think there's some underlying fishiness too that relates to the cycle that we've been hearing. That was 2014. Right. This is 2019. That's 5 years ago.
Right. But what is new here is now if you were born after 1957, unless you had the measles, and even if you got a shot, you got to get another one. But don't worry, you can take a third and it won't hurt you. I don't like it. I don't.
Yeah, we get that impression that you don't like this.
I don't like it. Oh, well.
But again, it's like it was. I think the first iteration of this, where I have to go dig those clips. Like I still have all the clips.
See if you can find that. I'll dig into my files as well because
it goes way back. It's really old stuff.
I mean, if it was polio, I'd be like, holy crap.
And then they find some woman with encephalitis, and then they make a connection, and then blame it on her not getting. Although she was. The problem is they can't find the ideal candidate for this stuff. They had that woman, unfortunately, had a measles vaccination and ended up with encephalitis. And so this is kind of like I guess maybe we can use this as the rationale for getting people to take a second shot that apparently doesn't work. And this is, I got called out by one of the lib-joes for being a vaxxer when I'm not.
Did they actually call you an anti-vaxxer?
Yeah.
That's
just out of the blue, not because I said anything.
That's incredibly rude.
It's very rude.
Because we're not. We're just not. We're not anti-vaccine. We question lots of stuff, including
questioning the number of the dubious vaccines that don't work, and they're required by they make you get a shot anyway. But it's obviously the woman's dying, maybe because of the shot. You don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Yes,
it's possible that these shots have some deadly consequence after a period of time, that you need a second shot, or otherwise you're going to have some horrible ailment because of the first shot.
Oh God! I'd hate to think of that.
On that one.
Wow. So, oh my God. So you're saying, hey, man, if you that first shot wasn't quite right, you better get the second one because
Now that would be the sales pitch, by the way.
Encephalitis. That's a sales pitch.
Tell me that's not a sales pitch. It would go like this. A drug company comes and say, we screwed up. Anyone who had this shot between 1957 and 1970, this shot expires with deadly consequences if you don't get this other shot immediately.
Yeah, but I didn't get the shot. I got the measles.
Well, that would be me, and that would be you. But there's a lot of people that did get the shot, and you don't think they'd be lined up?
Totally. Totes.
That would be a great sales pitch. Yeah. I'm recommending it to you pharmaceutical guys out there.
Yeah. The Curry Dvorak Consulting Group is available if you guys want to really learn how to do stuff.
Well, while on the subject of sick events... What was the deal with this Columbine panic?
Well, since we don't really know anything at all. Why do people call me today? We don't know anything at all. I can only suspect it was a 6-week cycle event just to keep people on their toes and know that, we're still
Keeping
here.
them on their toes is one thing. Taking every student, this is crazy. Every student in the state, 500,000 kids were taken out of school because of this bull crap. I just want to play. This is the major report from CBS.
Okay.
Now, the big story we are following tonight, the sudden end in Colorado to the search for a teenager who authorities feared was planning an attack to mark 20 years since the massacre at Columbine, in which 12 students and 1 teacher were killed. Today, Columbine and many other schools near Denver were closed as a precaution. But the suspect apparently killed herself. Barry Peterson has more on what happened.
How convenient.
Here in the woods west of Denver, authorities were taking no chances. They went in guns drawn after getting a tip that 18-year-old Sol Pais was armed and in the area. They later found her body during the search, ending a 3-day manhunt that rattled Coloradans just days before the anniversary of the Columbine school massacre.
At this point, it looks as if she was alone, that she took her own life with the weapon that she procured.
After she went missing from her South Florida home, police found what they described to CBS News as deeply disturbing posts online, and they alerted the FBI. Police said she had an infatuation with Columbine. A profile on what appears to be Pius's social media accounts read, "Be the best killer you can be," and "Being alive is expletive deleted, overrated," alongside a sketch of a gun. She had traveled from Florida to Denver Monday night, where she legally purchased a pump-action shotgun and ammunition. Responding to what they described as a credible threat, 24 schools took security precautions yesterday, and today, 500,000 students in the Denver metro area were told to stay home.
To close an entire metro area is not an easy decision. But at the end of the day, it's the right decision, the best decision to protect all of our kids.
Parents like Lindsay Schwartz, a mother of 3 in Denver schools, supported the move.
And it was a huge inconvenience, is a huge inconvenience for so many people, but better than not having them come home.
Okay. We have seen a blurry photo. We have no idea how she, with an out-of-state identification, I don't know if she had a Colorado driver's license by some crazy chance, that she was able to acquire a shotgun legally. I'd love to see the video from the gun store. I mean, there's so many holes in this story that the only thing it points to me is the new red flag law they're talking about in California, in Colorado.
It could be. Now, I want to...
Let me just explain the red flag law. Is this now passed? Is this done? Is this in place?
Not that I know. I don't know.
The red flag law, the idea is if someone says, "Hey, man, that Curry, he's kind of nuts. He seems like he's off the rails, and I think he has a gun," the cops can essentially come in, take your gun, and put you under evaluation. I think it's in
Colorado's crazy, but
like California's not.
That you brought. Well, we already do that.
Yeah.
You brought up the 6-week cycle, which I'm going to put in and make a note. I didn't think of that. But you're right.
I have something
and
regarding
I do
that.
have one sub clip of the clip we just played.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, in your mind, I don't know if you can do this, but I've had this thesis and I've used it over the years about, for example, I could spot somebody who was in the Obama White House inner circle because they had the same cadence the way they talked after
okay, yes.
Milieus have a cadence and they talk a certain way, and you can tell if somebody is if they're law enforcement sometimes, if the milieu is strong
or if
enough.
They work
There's a lot of milieus out there, and they have a voice that. Now, I want you to try. I don't have the back side by side comparison, but I think you can do this anyway. Put in your brain John Brennan's kind of voice where he has a style where he talks in a funny kind of a manner. John Brennan is got a milieu style of speaking, which is in the intelligence community. Some cop, and I don't know, they never identified this guy properly, comes out and he's one of the head of the police or he's a local guy. This is the Columbine.
Well, hold on. Hold on. Before we do the sub clip, Let's listen to John Brennan just to get the cadence.
People are innocent until alleged to be involved in some type of criminal activity.
Criminal activity. Now, he has a cadence. If you can keep in mind his cadence and listen to this guy.
At this point, it looks as if she was alone, that she took her own life with the weapon that she procured.
Oh, spook.
That's the same guy or what?
Well, it's not the same guy, but it's definitely from the same milieu.
It's a milieu cadence.
Let's listen again.
People are innocent until alleged to be involved in some type of criminal activity.
At this point, it looks as if she was alone, that she took her own life with the weapon that she procured.
Yeah. Yes. Well, again, I'm thinking there's red flag laws. New Jersey, it's California, it's Colorado. This is the new way, and maybe this was just a beginning. But if we're talking 6-week cycle, I would like to go back to 2014. Producer Matt called into C-SPAN. On C-SPAN at the time was the FBI Agents Association representative Ray Tarish.
Here's Matt from Reno, Nevada. Republican line. Hello.
In the morning, I was just calling. I'm a watcher of C-SPAN and also a listener of the show called No Agenda with Adam Curry and John C. Dvorak. They bring up an interesting point a lot in their deconstruction of the media and also what's sort of going on with our FBI and our federal agencies. And they bring up a good point of every 6 weeks almost to the week or on the dot, there's some type of FBI sort of bust that goes down. And it's been explained, too, that it's possibly, a cycle that they like to have because otherwise you can't really keep the American people scared. I was just wondering what your comments were on that. And also, is it legal to sort of entrap people with, like those guys in Ohio who didn't have the capability or means to actually detonate or set up a bomb on a bridge, but were arrested and thrown in jail, and the last one's actually just trying to fight for his life? And
Caller, we'll leave it there. Mr. Tarichi.
The FBI investigates thousands of cases with the proper media attention to those cases. We like to show the American people what it is that we do to keep them safe, and also try to show criminals and terrorists that we, the FBI, are out there. I'm not aware of any 6-week cycle that you're talking about, and I'm not aware of the facts of your case. All that I'll say is the individuals that you referenced were brought through a very regimented legal process with a strict adherence to the Constitution of the United States of America, and a jury of their peers will decide whether they did what they're accused of doing. That's true.
Oh, there you go. They just want to make sure the American people know they're out there doing their job.
Yeah,
he admitted it. He just admitted it.
Well, anyway, back to Columbine, and we have that. By the way, that was a nice connection because Brennan and that guy,
same guy,
same voice, exactly.
Yep.
Now, I do have one sick. I consider this to be a sick clip. Oh. Columbine was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
20 years ago. Now, this is a teacher that was at the school, and she was so freaked out by the event that she is ruining her child's life, who's a 13-year-old. In other words, 7 years after Columbine, she had a baby, and now she's bringing up the baby as though Columbine is going to happen again any minute. This is putting the fear. This is the kind of fear. It's at the parental level. I just listen to this and tell me you're not upset by it.
With the attack happening 20 years ago this week, we sat down with 5 Columbine survivors, each with a different story then and a different message today. That includes Michelle Wheeler, a teacher in the school district currently, now the mother of a 13-year-old. How does that impact the way you raise her? And
I started telling her about the shooting when she was 5 and going into kindergarten. And I started very developmentally appropriate, just saying, Mommy's sad that her friends are in heaven. And then as she got older, I started to tell her a little bit more. The hardest day of my life was sending her to kindergarten. I had no idea what I was doing, why I was letting her go. And every day still is a struggle.
Do you think about where she can get out places, exits?
We'll be in the doctor's office or King Soopers or somewhere, and I'll say, show me 5 places where you'll hide, because it could happen anywhere, and I want her to be prepared. And I think it makes me feel prepared.
Oh, brother.
So she, of course, this scripted question, because apparently they did a pre-interview.
Sure.
And so she's got a daughter who's 13, and she'll go to the doctor. This is 20 years ago after the event. And she'll go to the doctor and say, tell me 5 places you can hide. And so the girl's constantly being, reminded that she has to be able to hide and cover in place or whatever you do.
Even when you're in pilot training, you really only have to find one place to land.
Well, there's that. But that's not the point I'm trying to make.
I know.
That, she's inefficient the way she's doing this. But it's just that, can you imagine being raised that way, where every moment of your life as a teenager, you're supposed to worry about where to hide?
The only thing worse than that is to have the media bore the shit into your head incessantly that you can possibly die. I mean, yeah, you have your parents are saying it, the media is saying it. Yeah. These children are going to be messed up.
Jumpy, if nothing else.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, I have some Green New Deal stuff for some more child abuse if you're interested. Well, actually, we'll do that after the break. I did want to... Now, I have a little entrement. This was very interesting with Michelle Obama. You probably heard about it, that she was on stage with Stephen Colbert, which most people haven't even talked about in this comparison. It was hard to hear. I think I did some filtering so you can hear it much better. It's about Trump, of course, and she's promoting her book, and she has an analogy about Trump.
America is like a teenager. We are a teenager. We talked about this. We're like a teenage country. We're confused because our body is changing. We're changing all over the place. And we come from a broken family. We're a teenager where, we're a little unsettled, and, having good parents, is tough. Sometimes you spend weekends with divorced dad, and that feels like it's fun, but then you get sick. That's what America's going through. We're kind of living with divorced dad right now.
So, this Colbert says something. No. So she says America is like a teenager that's living with divorced dad, because divorced dads, when you don't feel good, the divorced dads, they're no good. You really just want to go home to mom. That's essentially what she's saying.
Thank you.
And, how did you take that?
I never heard it before.
Okay, well, how are you taking it now when you hear it?
I think it's just insulting. It's anti-male. I don't like it. I think she's a dick.
Yeah. Well, then I have a song for you, and you may sing along.
Sometimes I dream that he is me. You got to see that's how I dream to be. Oh, if I could be like Mike. If I could be like Mike. I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
Moving right along.
You have to be over 30 to get the joke.
Yeah.
And American.
Yeah, it was a little... I was out there.
Sorry.
Well, I don't know what you're sorry about. We have some donations, some people to thank, starting with Dames. I'm sorry.
John
Calistra.
Brian. John Studebaker.
Yeah, there we go. John Studebaker, $195. He owed an extra $195 in taxes, and he got it back and sent it to us. Black Knight Scott, $150. He's in some place in Georgia. He mentioned something about the wine, since we got some wine chat. Need to try some wines from up here.
Hey, you tweeted something about a wine at Costco.
Did I?
Yeah, I wrote it down. It's like some mix, 75% this, 75% that. Great price at Costco. I wrote it down next time I go. You don't remember? Okay, never mind.
I remember tweeting about something at Costco, but there was some specific wine because somebody asked about it. And so I bought it. It was great. I'll think about it, what it was. I remember doing something. I just don't remember what it was. Now I'm like the guy I'm always bitching about. Hey, I had a great wine the other day. What was it? I don't remember.
It was too groovy.
Anyway, he says they need to try something. John Studebaker is the.
This is interesting.
He's got Sir Callistra, 133.33.
Hold on a second. Hold on. John Studebaker says, my accountant said I only owed an extra $195 in taxes, and I replied that was the best news I'd received since my doctor told me the heart surgery was a success. Then I got really depressed. So to make myself feel better, I'm topping up my knighthood fund. I like it, Studebaker. I'm not quite sure what's going on with you, but don't be depressed.
Yeah, don't be depressed.
Hey, come on, man. There's so much to live for. So much fun.
My doctor told me when this heart surgery, well, if you're just standing there alive, it's usually a success.
Yeah.
Sir Callistra, 133.33. Dame Susan Johnson.
Wait, I'm sorry. You're skipping Black Knight Scott.
No, I did Black Knight Scott. He's the one in Georgia who wants me to try some wine.
Oh, shit. I'm sorry. My mistake.
Dame Susan Johnson in Hillsboro, Oregon, sent a note in and a check. And the note's worth reading. Because this donation brings me to Baroness. I don't know. I'm sure she's on the list. I may have or may not have sent it in. Thank you both for the sanity, the laughs, and the much-needed information. I know the whole Pacific Northwest has a protectorate, and that is good. No jingles, no karma. I'd like henceforth to be known as Dame Whack-A-Mole.
Yes, she's on the list.
As I am in the middle of a very frustrating situation regarding my new home.
Uh-oh.
I just moved in last August. This is some homeowner. This is some home horror stories, Adam.
I'm ready for them. I already got the fire ants.
Oh, is there fire ants in the area?
Did I not tell you about the fire ants?
Oh my God, that's the worst.
So I go in the backyard the other day, and we're not in yet, but I see this pile. I'm like, So I tap it with my toe, and a whole bunch of ants. I'm like, oh man, these could be fire ants. So I'm like, how do I check this? Because I can't see it. I know what a fire ant looks like. So I take my glasses off. I got the kind of heavy rim glasses. I stick one leg of the glasses in there, and they get a couple of these boys on my glass. I look at them. Oh, damn it, the fire ants. Blow them off. Put my glasses on. One of them was still on the glasses. Got me right on the bridge of my nose. Yeah, definitely fire ants.
Well, you better have them boys killed off.
Yeah, I had the guy come. They got some special stuff for that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they need to be removed.
Oh yeah.
And so you got bit by a fire ant. Wow.
Yeah. Not the first time.
Things are nasty.
Not the first time.
He says, I got a new home. I just moved in last August. I recently discovered something that the seller had not disclosed.
Uh-oh.
I'm trying to figure out my options. I may be moving again. Ugh. Anyway, thanks for keeping me sane. Dame Whack-A-Mole of Noble Woods. So she didn't give us the horror story I was hoping for. Angela Castaneda.
Dame Angela.
Yeah, Dame Angela Castaneda.
Yes, Dame
in Las
Dame
Vegas,
Angela.
Nevada.
Thank you, Dame Angela.
$100.
Yeah.
Now drop into Noah Wattenmaker, I'm guessing. He says, I flip and love you guys. 8008. Sir Herb Lamb, 8008, who comes in pretty much with 8008. And he's requesting some house moving karma for you.
Thank you. I'll give that to myself.
Ryan Darrow, 77. Sir Rick of Arlington, Washington, 6996. Sir Daddy Cast of the Love House.
Now this 59. is the 59. This is the adieu to the Cludio donation, the 5x9 Cludio.
The Cludio donations. This is adieu to the Cludio.
Adieu to the Cludio.
Now this is these are all $59 donations. They help the show a lot. And starting with Sir Daddy Cast.
By the way, the pictures you used. Did you use the worst possible pictures of me in the newsletter?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I think that was pretty bad.
I think the one you got a blunt. You wanted me to use that?
It's not a blunt.
Looked like it.
Oh, by the way, you didn't see that it was in the pictures anyway? Exactly. Yeah, go back and look at them. I used the
best pictures I could find.
Yeah, okay.
You didn't say, and they're all from the one angle. I'd like to have said more variety.
Oh my goodness!
But it was crowded.
It's a closet.
It's a closet. Yeah. I was hoping you'd have one of you two would have a 10 millimeter lens on some sort of a Hasselblad, and you can get behind you and then shoot the whole thing in one shot.
He's off the rails.
Sir Woody of the Falls, Sir Ken of Pennsyltucky in Felton, Daniel DeGroff. These are all people thanking or celebrating the end of this Cludio, this is the last broadcast.
This is the last
today.
one. Yeah, the last one. It'll be a
Gary,
whole new situation.
It won't be available. Nope. Gary Marquardt. Sir Code Monkey, Cole Candler in Lynchburg, Virginia. Sir Roadwolf, Baron of Western New York, Joseph Finley.
Oh, hold on one second. Need to say No Agenda WNY.org. They're doing a Western New York union and meetup, and it's No Agenda of Western New York, Local 8008. And you can find that at noagendaWNY.org.
Are you going through the noagendameetups.com site?
He should.
Are you having the local number approved by the steering committee? We'll give you that one. Somebody wants to get local too, and I'm not so sure it shouldn't go to Austin.
Yeah, I think local 8008 is fine by me.
Yeah, you can have it. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Sir Josh Mandel, Alejandro Vasquez, Ben Smith in Greenville, Texas, Chad Syker in Owensville, Maryland.
Might be Seeker. Not sure.
Simon Ibuzuski, I'm guessing. Libazuski. Goodbye, old friend.
Cludio.
Stephen E. Taft, Chase Tomlinson, Chase with a C. Yancey Summerar. I don't know. Yeah. Dan Pinkerton, Hocus Locus. There you go. Goodbye, Cludio. Kyle Blank, Houston, Texas. David Oliver. We got a lot of well-wishers here.
Goodbye, Cludio. May you continue storing some lady's shoes. Broadcasting excellence comes in small packages. Oh, this is so nice.
John Wimberly, Carl Lidner, Lisa Mullen, and Carl's from Cary, North Carolina, nice little town. Lisa Mullins in Eastlake, Ohio. Sir John Helmer in Shawnee, Kansas.
And he says, holy crap, the Cludio literally is 5x9. What do you think? We're lying here? This is true. It's true.
It's actually kind of big for
a closet.
For a closet. Baron Robert Bruckner of the Desert Sprawl. Jacobina Kunin. And last but not least, Sir Alex Knight of the Northern Launchpad. So those are your well-wishers, and goodbye, Cludio. You'll be sorely missed for that superb sound. Dean Roker, meanwhile, comes in at 55.10. Adam Ward at 55.10 from Derby. Chris Kincaid in Tyler, Texas, 55.10. Matthew Smith, $51. And now the next list is $50 donors, name and location. Joel DeRuin, Sir Joel in Savannah, Georgia. I'm pretty sure he's a Sir Chris Slewinski. I'm pretty sure he's a Sir in Long Benisir in Sherwood Park, Alberta. And I'm sure he appreciated our Alberta report.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he voted for Kenny. David Timmons in Oklahoma City. Brad Taylor in Duval, Washington. Scott Lavender, Sir Scott in Montgomery, Texas. Pretty sure. Sir Pate Snakes, he was just in last week. Last show.
That's right. He's always around, man.
Maxine Waters Gravel.
That's
apparently the gravel gave us $50.
Well, the gravel should talk to your Squeaky Chair's Twitter account.
The Squeaky Chair's got its own agent now. He works for CAA. I don't know his name. He won't tell me because he doesn't want me poaching him. It's really irksome. John Camp in Antlers, Oklahoma, and Sir Jerry Wingenroth in Saugus, California. I want to thank all these folks for helping us on show 1130 and producing it and keeping us going. And well-wishing the Cludio, which is now kaput.
Yes, it is. And we'll play the Cludio song at the end of show mixes. Also wanted to mention that Dan Pinkerton We missed that on the list. Who is wishing his smoking hot wife a happy 28th anniversary on 4/20. Really need some jobs karma at end of segment. We'll do that for you. And, of course, we want to thank everybody who came in and supported the program today. The Cludio is very appreciative. And the Cludio will miss you, and we will miss the Cludio. But and I've not come up with a name yet for the new studio because it's just a box right now. It's not. It has no personality. We've got to figure out what it's going to be. It's going to be minimalistic, though, is my hope. He says. Thank you also to everyone who came in under $50. A lot of you want that for reasons of anonymity. That's why we see a lot of $49.99s. But, of course, we have several different programs you can participate in. We have weeklies, monthlies. You can do $5 a month, anything you want. All you have to do is go look up all these different programs and ways to support the program, this podcast, in our Value for Value network at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Lots of karmas to hand out.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs.
You've got karma.
Okay, watch this real quick. And here we go for our birthday list for April 18th, 2019. We say happy birthday to Kenneth Beer, who celebrates his birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Kenneth! That's it. That's our whole birthday list. There's no birthdays whatsoever. But we do have a couple of titles to celebrate here. Yeah, let's do this one for a change.
Come gather round, douchebag, producer and slave, as we all thank your brothers and sisters who gave, and some of them nights, some of them days, for the titles are a-changing.
Titles changing today on our list. Sir Tim of the Tunnels becomes a baronet, as does Sir Ken of Pennsyltucky. Baronet title for him as well. And Dame Susan Johnson ups to baroness, and we just heard her note, and she will henceforth be known as Dame Whack-A-Mole. A quick karma make good. Hey guys, Dame Nancy from New Jersey here. I was an associate executive producer on the last show. You read the note I sent requesting travel karma, then sidetracked into title change and never actually played the karma jingle. I'm guessing that the karma comes from the intention behind the donation and the playing of the jingle is a formality. But hey, who wants to risk that? May I please have my travel karma? Thank you, Baronetess, formerly Dame Nancy of New Jersey. Well, of course we comply with that request. No problem. Here you go.
You've got karma.
And then we've got one knighting, coincidence or not. It's... Oops, we didn't get our blades yet. Hold on. It's only one, but let's use this. You got...
I got it right here, the long blade.
Perfect. All right. Kenneth Beer, celebrating your birthday tomorrow. You might as well step on up here. You, sir, are about to join the very illustrious club and the exclusive roundtable of the No Agenda Knights and Dames. Thanks to your contribution of $1,000 or more to the No Agenda Show podcast. And I am very proud hereby to pronounceate the Sir Deliot, Knight of the No Agenda Roundtable. Of course, for you, we have Hookers and Blow, Rent Boys and Chardonnay, Horseheads Pumpkin Ale. We got Dr. Pepper and a Quick Handy, Brown Cheese and Aquavit and Smalahova. We have Harlots and Houndall. We got Muscatoli and Margaritas, Redheads and Ryes, Rubenesque Women and Rosé, Breast Milk and Pavlum, Sparkling Cider and Escorts, Bong Hits and Bourbon, Ginger Ale and Gerbils, and the ever-effervescent Mutton and Mead. And go over to noagendanation.com/rings. Eric the Shill will make sure that you get your ring sent as soon as we can get the right sizes. I don't know if I think he just got a shipment in, so it should be off pretty soon. And thank you again for supporting the show. Dvorak.org/NA is where you can always step in to help. It's part of the system. And so we're joking about the Cludio. You had sent me a link about the Gimlet Studios.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Well,
and I sent a second note saying to alert the producers in the New York area to let us know if there's ever an auction of the closed studios, because these things weren't going to last, because I want to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, and for people who know anything about audio equipment, they not only made these beautiful studios high-end, but all the gear is Neumann.
Yeah, it's like $1,000 microphone. Just one.
Yeah. Yeah,
one of them.
Microphones are $2,000.
But also the whole piece really talks about, how this is important to get that NPR-like vibe. And I think to myself, this is not really the right way to go.
Well, that's not podcasting.
Well,
this is like producing
it's radio.
shows
They're doing
that
radio.
Can't make NPR.
Yes. I'm not quite sure how I feel about it. But just it seems like if you really want to create that NPR sound, is that really what you're going for? I mean, that just shows a milieu, as we've been talking about. I don't know. I don't know if people are looking for that. There's something, it's like saying the Beatles should have sounded differently, or the Rolling Stones had distortion, so that wasn't good. We have to make it sound clean and pristine. There's something about what we're doing that is somehow expressly meant to be different.
It's honest.
Ooh, well, there you go.
That's different. Think about that one.
Yeah. I don't think we have to go any further than that. It's just honest. You're right. All right. Quick little Green New Deal. Got some Green New Deal here.
Well, I do have an entremont if you want to play something funnier.
No. This is funny enough.
Save it for the end.
Yeah. Greta Thunberg addressed the European Union Parliament once again.
Is that the little girl?
That's the little girl. Now, she's now 16.
Yeah,
and
she's the Antichrist.
And she's still, they force her to wear these braids that make her look a bit like...
She's 16 and she looks like she's 11.
Which is intentional because they can't have her being 16 anyway. Even though she says it, she looks 11.
I'm surprised they don't put round red circles around each cheek with black dots.
Raggedy Ann. Yeah, she does look a bit like
Raggedy Ann, that's it.
Now, we know how she talks. It takes her 6 minutes to get a minute and a half of content out. But that's, she's 16. But she reads a line, reads a line. So I chopped all that out. And let's just listen to how she was being abused once again to work a political agenda just in time for all these green parties in the European Parliament to go into the election cycle.
Yesterday, the world watched with despair and enormous sorrow how the Notre Dame burned in Paris. Some buildings are more than just buildings. But the Notre Dame will be rebuilt. I hope that its foundations are strong. I hope that our foundations are even stronger, but I fear they are not. Around the year 2030, 10 years, 259 days and 10 hours away from now, we will be in a position where we set off an irreversible chain reaction that will most likely lead to the end of our civilization as we know it.
What we need a web page with that clock counting down, the
2030.
The death clock.
Now I wanted to bring this up. I keep forgetting to do it. Now I'm glad you brought that clip. And it relates with the little girls who are in Nancy Pelosi's office and all the other ones that say we got 12 and AOC. We have 12 years to live, and there was always most of that assertion was done in 2018, which takes us right to 2030. And you were hounding the show about the year 2030. 5 years ago, saying that this is the year, and there was some reason for this, and I forgot a lot of the background on it. You were all over this 2030 meme.
Yeah. And I think I don't know if I'm looking for it now, if we have the 2030 Club. Yes. Oh, it's still up. The2030club.com. Wow. So I started this in 2014. It's amazing that website is still up there. Let's see what we have. A joy apocalypse delayed until 2030. Study predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030. Global warming, act before 2030 or the task will be more difficult. Global trends 2030, alternative worlds. What do we have? Australia can go to 100% renewable energy by 2030. Now, the reason why we brought this up at the time in 2014 is that the politicians who were selling this would all be way gone by 2030.
And I think my anecdote was the following. You go to a wine store. There's a guy, a floor salesman. He's on there, and he's got the guy. In most instances, unless you're at a very superior operation, the guy's trying to move wine. Didn't care about you, And so you have some horrible wine that he sells. He's moving this wine with the bull crap argument that it's not good right now, but it's going to be great. It needs to be aged. It needs to be very few wines. You can tell, you could count them that can actually age well. Most of them just you buy them and you drink them. But the idea is that you can take crappy wine and then convince someone that they should age it, and they won't be working in that store in, let's say, 4 years when you come back to say, hey, I waited 4 years to drink this wine. It's terrible. Right. Oh, yeah, Bill, yeah, he quit 2 years ago.
Right. Exactly.
This is the same kind of thing.
Yes. But so what she's done is we should put this on the 2030club.com. She's taken this to a new level and have given us 10 years, the 200 and something days and 10 hours until, we're all going to die.
And where we set off an irreversible chain reaction that will most likely lead to the end of our civilization as we know it. That is, unless in that time, permanent and unprecedented changes in all aspects of society have taken place, including a reduction of our CO2 emissions by at least 50%. And please note that these calculations are depending on inventions that have not been yet invented at scale. Inventions that are supposed to clear our atmosphere of astronomical amounts of carbon dioxide. Furthermore, do these calculations not include unforeseen tipping points and feedback loops, like the extremely powerful methane gas escaping from rapidly thawing Arctic permafrost? Nor do they include already locked-in warming hidden by air pollution, nor the aspect of equity or climate justice clearly stated throughout the Paris Agreement, which is absolutely necessary to make it work on a global scale. We must also bear in mind that these are just calculations, estimations. That means that these points of no return may occur a bit sooner or later than that. No one can know for sure.
That bugs me. She's got the years, the days, the hours, but bear in mind, this could be wrong.
We can, however, be certain that they will occur approximately in these time frames, because these calculations are not opinions or wild guesses. These projections are backed up by scientific facts, concluded by all nations.
No, they're backed up by computer simulations.
Stop yelling at the child, Dvorak.
Opinions or wild guesses. These projections are backed up by scientific facts, concluded by all nations through the IPCC. Nearly every major national scientific body around the world unreservedly supports the work and findings of the IPCC.
Yeah, sure.
I got to get a couple words in here.
Okay.
What is the point of her saying the following quote? We need permanent change. This is the quote. We need permanent changes to all aspects of society.
Yeah.
She said that.
Yes.
What's that got to do with climate change?
Oh, that's because you have to obey. If you don't obey, then people will die because climate change. By the way, as that played, a big whopper hit me in the head.
Let me get the second one out and then tell me the whopper. Astronomical amounts is the quote. Is not something that is in parts per million.
Oh,
what
yeah.
Is carbon dioxide, 360 parts per million? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Around that?
That's astronomical.
How is 360 parts per million astronomical?
It's not.
I don't know, but okay.
She's just a child. Well, she started off with the Notre Dame. Take this one on for size. Remember, Paris Agreement, gone. Notre Dame, burning. Wouldn't it be cool if somehow the scientists could say that because of global warming, climate change, the oak somehow became that much more brittle and flammable? And that this could be the new Paris Accord because of the Notre Dame. Okay, maybe.
Well, that's a stretch.
That
oak was dry, but
you never know. What's a stretch? What's a stretch?
Yeah,
what's a stretch these days?
360 parts per million. Then
what's a stretch? There's just two things I really want to play.
I find this girl to be so annoying, and I think her accent is like a kind of a snooty upper class. She was taught English by a Brit who was obviously a lost upper class person that taught her the worst sounding English. At least it bugs me.
Well, she's a child, so I'm just looking at this theater and the circus that her parents, who are elites and who are in the business, put her through and take her on this whirlwind tour. I mean, she's, I don't know. Gore does it. These are child abusers. They're abusing children for their own political agenda. Now, Pelosi was on 60 Minutes. Did you see any of that?
I avoided it. I'm sorry. I should have seen it. I should have recorded it. I should have watched it. I think I was watching a NBA playoff game.
I'll just give you a little highlight.
You have called your Republican colleagues, right? These are quotes, immoral, corrupt. You say they're running a criminal enterprise. I mean, you're one of the reasons we have to restore civility in the first place.
Well, actually, when I called them those names, I was being gentle. There are much worse things I could have said about them.
Oh, really? It's hard to imagine.
No evidence of honest leadership, a failed Republican do-nothing Congress, of the arrogance of power of the White House.
I mean, here are some of the things, only some of the things you have called him, an incompetent leader.
Right.
You said, in fact, he's not a leader. He's a person who has no judgment. Ooh,
that's right.
It even stings to hear it now. I mean, obviously, the two of you are bound to get along just great.
We're professionals. We're professionals. You could go through a long list of things his surrogates have said about me. I know they have to do what they have to do, and they know I have to do what I have to do. And what I have to do is make a distinction in the public between the Democrats and the Republicans in order to win. This isn't personal. This is about...
Sounds personal.
This isn't
He's
personal.
Incompetent.
Well, I think he is.
But that's personal.
Well,
and
I'm sorry. That's his problem.
How does this raise the level of civility?
Well, we're in a political debate here. We didn't come here to have a tea party together and toss a coin to see who would win on an issue. I have very thick skin. I don't care what they say about me.
So it's too bad you didn't see it, but I'm
going to go back and watch it now.
Well, you can't. Well, you can, but this was actually an interview from 23 years ago. This is a 23-year-old interview of Nancy Pelosi when Bush was president.
And who was president at the time? Bush?
Yeah. And I played this, and I'm glad that you hadn't seen it, to show everyone that nothing changes. She was saying the same shit about Bush, the same talking points, thin skin, all of this, the same thing. It's the same.
That's a great trick to pull on me. I've done this myself.
You've done it to me. I know.
I've done it to you, but I don't expect you to do it to me.
Well, this brings me to the last clip I have. And this is there's a supercuts, although it was done by Now This, I think. And they took all of the Fox News people from when Obama was president and all the things that the Fox News talking heads were saying about Obama. And as you'll hear, it is exactly the same as the MSNBC, CNN, and most of the M5M are saying about Trump. Exactly the same words, the same things. The two different presidents, two different news organizations, or, I guess Fox is the only one that leans right, way right. Now, here's
right.
Well, here's what's interesting. I saw I'm not going to play anything about Don Lemon last night. He is the overnight sensation. He was playing bits of this, and the whole panel agreed that, oh my God, can't they see? Don't they understand that their president is doing all of these horrible things? And what boggled my mind is that Don Lemon and this whole CNN panel it didn't dawn on them.
They couldn't put two and two together.
It couldn't dawn on them that they're both doing the same thing. So when you hear this, it makes you feel good, kind of like, this is the same bullshit that's been going on forever.
What is wrong with this president?
How dumb is he? Now, we're going to vet the president. We're going to talk about his vacation, his golfing.
2 golf outings for the president cost $2.9 million. That alone is amazing.
Should a president, the leader of the free world, be on a social network tweeting?
No.
He's kind of a celebrity president. He's kind of like Ryan Seacrest.
This is a president who does not really know what he wants to do. He simply wants to be popular with everybody, every audience before which he stands.
The president seems almost obsessed with cable TV, or am I wrong?
This is a president who rules by executive authority, executive action.
When he's not doing executive actions, he's out on the golf course.
The president heads to Florida for a boys' weekend of golf.
Without the teleprompter, the president doesn't know exactly what to do correctly.
The president's budget that he gave today, all right, doesn't cut any deficit. It increases the debt.
What's in those records that you don't want us to know about?
Once again, he's pandering to the worst regimes and thugs and dictators.
This is a president that is acting like a dictator. This is a president who is ignoring the rule of law and siding with lawbreakers.
This is a president now who's demonstrated that he will lie to push through a program.
And once the president tweets it, then it becomes canon. Oh, that's a fact. The president says it's a fact.
He's in love with campaigning. He's going to fundraisers tonight.
He achieved that significant accomplishment earlier today while vacationing in Florida on your dime.
This president and the people around him are convinced that God has anointed him to fix everything in one fell swoop. That's not how American politics work. That's not how life works.
This is a president who has become known, I think, to the public as a blamer.
He never makes any concessions. He always treats his opponents as though they're enemies.
We have a president who can never admit he's wrong. He's so insecure and vain at the same time.
He doesn't realize that the president has that power to set a tone and other people follow it.
What he's really trying to do is to divide the country and to get his people to turn out to vote.
He simply doesn't like being mocked. Maybe he's a little thin-skinned.
I've been saying, Mr. President, put your pants on. Sit at the table, man up.
Skip the trash talk. It only diminishes the office of the president.
If you want to work with somebody, you don't call them names.
This is a very quick and easy, cheap way to score political points.
Mr. President, you need to stop acting like a schoolyard bully and start acting like the leader of the free world.
Mr. President, everyone is laughing at us.
It's exactly the same.
Which brings us to the real point of this show.
Which is...
That's what we're here for, is to make sure that people realize that the back and forth, that this whole theater from...
is exactly
from
that.
TSA to the politics to the Nancy Pelosi condemning Bush in exactly the same way she condemns Trump, and everything else is bull crap, and it's just a propaganda machine. And what we do is bring you back to a true reality. We're the guardians of reality. There's no doubt in my mind about it.
I could not have said it any better.
Well, I did want to have my last clip.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was ready to go out on the high note. We're guardians of reality. Roll credits. What's wrong with you?
Well, you're right. We could have quit on that note.
Well, we're not going to now.
This doesn't happen that often, but the media is promoting this Buttigieg guy.
I have a. Is his name from German origin?
We find out in this clip.
Because I keep whenever I see it, I want to pronounce it like a German would. You know,
which would be what?
Buttigieg.
Well, that's probably the correct pronunciation, but Buttigieg is the way he's pronouncing it.
Uh-huh.
And so Kimmel did a bit where he brought people on the street and they put the name up and tried to pronounce it. You know, classic man on the street bonehead.
Yeah.
And I thought it was worth, and I don't pull these out of much, but I do once every couple of months.
This is true.
It's true.
It's true. This is true. Buttigieg is a Maltese name. It means owner of chickens. Not exactly mother of dragons, but it's a weird name. And you know what? If Pete has any chance of becoming president, people are going to need to know how to say it. So we went on the street and we asked pedestrians to give it a shot. And here's how that went.
How do you pronounce this?
Bootgate again? Buttigieg.
Boot egg? Maybe? Butt leg, boot egg.
Buttigieg.
Butt geggy?
Buttigieg?
Buttigieg.
Buttigieg? Buttigieg. I don't know. That was probably bad.
Buttigieg.
And what do you think it means?
Somebody has an egg on their butt or something?
I think it means probably a guy with a nice butt.
I'm going to go ahead and say it's either some weird sexual thing or a place in, like, Austria.
Butt gang?
Butt gang?
Yeah.
What's that?
A gang of butts.
How do you pronounce this?
Buttigieg.
Yes! You did it! High five!
All right, well, then I have to play one more clip since you brought in Buttigieg. And this is important in context of Guardians of Reality. You may have noticed that in particular, CNN, MSNBC, are obsessing over the amounts of money candidates have raised in the first 24 hours, in the first week. And if you are new to the program, and even if you're not, it's good for a good refresher. What they are doing is they are reviewing their advertising sales. They look at these candidates and say, who's got money? Holy crap. Buttigieg got $7 million. We need to talk about him a lot. It's gotten to the point where they break it down by demographic into age group of how much money they have and they're giving to him. They are looking at their potential audience that they can sell ads to with the money they're talking about.
So we're starting to get a bit of a profile of who right now is behind this boomlet, if you want to call it that, on the Democratic side for Buttigieg. So one of the characteristics we're seeing is income. It seems among Democratic voters, the higher the income goes right now, the more interest there is in Buttigieg. Take a look at 3 recent polls here. Folks under 50K, this is how he's doing. Watch how these numbers go up as income level goes up. 50 to 100, his support jumps a little bit. Then go to the highest group, 100K plus. Look what happens to his support. Suddenly he's there in double digits, mid-double digits in one of the polls there. We're starting to see this consistently. Higher income Democratic voters right now.
They are just looking at how much money they can take.
Yeah.
It's an audition for the news networks when you have a lot of money. They are interested in you and will promote you because you are going to give that money primarily to them.
Exactly.
Oh, that's the only reminder I wanted to give everybody.
And yeah, everyone should note that. It's not about him being gay or anything.
No, it's how much money he has.
That's a bonus to the news media.
Apparently, you can have a crazy-ass name, have no experience, whatever is necessary, be a white guy, but as long as you got cash, baby, you're in the pocket with the news media. Yeah, cash is king. That's right. Special thanks to... let me see. Who do we have? We have Tom Starkweather. We've got the Traveling Gitburys. And, oh, crap. I can't remember who did the Cludio song. But we'll have those as end-of-show mixes. And we will return Sunday from the new studio. We don't have a name for it yet or know everything, but today we say goodbye to the 5x9 Cludio as I come to you for the last time from downtown Austin, Texas, capital of the Drone Star State, in the 5x9 Cludio, FEMA Region number 6. In the morning, everybody, I'm Adam Curry.
And want to remind everybody, Easter Sunday is our next show, Easter Sunday. And from Northern Silicon Valley, where I'm pledging $60 billion to the new Cludio, I'm John C. Dvorak.
Happy 420, everybody. Remember us at Dvorak.org/NA. And, of course, adios, mofos! And such. Yeah, I was thinking what I would name it, but I have a Cludio. That's what I have now, a Cludio.
Oh, I thought you meant you didn't have a clue.
No, I got a clue.
That's some jargon, some sort of hipster jargon for clue.
There's a place that's only 5x9, but I don't mind. Cludio.
I got no Cludio.
Cludio is a studio in a closet.
Now I'm not seeking any more fame, but it found me just the same. Cludio.
It's pretty sizable.
I see.
That's where I am. The new studio is in the closet.
If they call me, I'll be there. I come running anywhere. It's all I need. All
That's bigger than most New York apartments.
But at the end of the day, they're backing him. You know, they're backing. Come on.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, John, if someone wants to get anyone, they can get him.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, it's more important that we have entertainment.
At the end of the day.
So, at the end of the day, who's going to pay for the real loan? It's going to be taxpayer money.
At the end of the day.
Because at the end of the day, that's going to be up to Valerie Jarrett.
At the end of the day.
I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that it?
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, all this money is owed to bankers.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, I think it's good.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, as Americans, what we always do is we always say,
at the end of the day.
So at the end of the day, it's not actually the health care, it's the...
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, you can't deny I had to put less gas in.
At the end of the day.
So at the end of the day, we're all anti-Semites.
At the end of the day.
At the end of the day, you get, I think it's 4%.
At the end of the day.
Starts to run together at the end of the day, and you kind of forget, right? And then...
At the end of the day.
You know, John, you and I are both in the audience business at the end of the day.
At the end of the day.
So at the end of the day, she can say, hey, I told
you so.
At the end of the day. But I don't say at the end of the day. I said it once, I think, ever.
Now featuring John C. Dvorak's squeaky chair.
The squeak is, I got to figure out exactly where it's a mystery.
Yes, it is. Squeak in there or something.
I also want to remind people who do remixes of our show and do some musical things at the end, do not put music where the perfect spot is for squeaking. Yeah, the chair has become a celebrity. It's just very, wow. I'm not going to say that, I am going to say that where the perfect spot is for squeaking.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Now it's Mueller time.